yes.
Let's go.
Is it actually recording you this time?
It is, yeah. So it's recording me, it's recording you boys. So hopefully everyone watching will actually be able to hear me and we won't have to re-record.
Again.
Well, that'd be terrible if we had to re-record a whole session.
Don't even want to think about that.
We just have like a script in front of us that we have to read off meticulously, making sure not to miss a single beat.
No, we just pick up the next episode and we call it the lost episode, and we just always call back to events that happened in that episode. But we
No one gets to know
never
what
re-air the episode.
But we will start our session for today, as we welcome you all back to Twisted Fates with our recording software actually working first time this time, which is quite nice.
Let's go.
As always, I am Emily, your dungeon master, and these are my boys. We've got Craig,
Hello.
Ewan,
Hey.
Matthew, and Paul,
Hey.
who actually
Hello.
got to rejoin the party last time, which was quite nice.
Yes. Thank you for accepting me back.
That's a
You're-
strong word.
You're welcome, murderer.
He's still
I'm
on,
on thin
still on,
fucking ice.
still on thin ice.
You make one fucking wrong move and you're out.
So similar to kind of last session, I'm going to give you just a wee quick recap of what happened last time, and then we're just going to jump straight into today, hopefully with a little bit of character development and no murder. Paul.
Hopefully.
Paul looking behind him as if the sins that he had committed were standing over him.
Yeah.
But
There's a shadow
All your
hanging
sins.
over me.
yeah, so last time our party was split after some incidents in a nearby field on the way to the small hamlet of Hillview. Paul murdered a man. So
Manslaughter. I prefer manslaughter.
so
Just by
yeah,
accident.
the party kind of split into with Eidolon, Wolfric, and Ranaagash bringing the body of the murdered man into town, hopefully trying to find a relative so they could give the news. Markusar kind of stuck back a little bit and kind of kept his distance from the party, at least for the beginning of last session. The three boys were able to find a relative of the body after some hilarity. We're also able to deliver the news of the deceased, to an associate of his mother, though they were about to tell a woman that one of her children had died when it was the wrong woman. That could have gone really, really, really wrong.
Talk about a social faux pas.
And alongside that, Markusar kind of started his own investigations into something he had seen whilst camping outside of Hillview that night, a black mass moving through town. He decided to take it upon himself to stealthily walk through the town to the local watchtower to see if the garrison had known anything about it, and also just to report the incident in general. And whilst the party were conducting their separate investigations, all found themselves gathering different parts of a rather convoluted story of a recent missing person, where one by one they all eventually accepted the job in various different means to reconvene outside of the Eastwood, where they became a party of 4 again, much to my surprise. Not gonna lie, was kind of expecting you all just to ostracize Markusar right then and there, but you didn't, which was nice.
There's still time.
There's a lot of time. We have a whole session today.
The night is young.
But, yeah, they kind of explored the Eastwood, they kind of followed the trail that was set out to them, put the pieces of the puzzle together, and after a relatively risky combat with some Frankenwolves, as Ewan dubbed them, ended up making their way into one of the caverns, or one of the caves in the Eastwood, to find a rather disturbed drow conducting some experiments, and without a word or muttering to himself, almost attacking the party, sending them into combat. They were able to dispose of him, not with great ease. We did kind of have Wolfric drop once, and we had some, I suppose, some split personality from Eidolon, as he was partially charmed but almost seemed to break out with quite a demonic presence taking over his body. But the party were able to rescue the missing woman. They were able to bring her back to town, getting her treatment from the watchtower, and they managed to reconvene, deciding to once again travel together to the Citadel. And that is kind of where we're gonna pick up for today, as we are joining the party not during the day as they left in the afternoon and kind of made as much of their travel as possible in their more wearied state. We are rejoining them instead in the evening, their first evening on the road to the Citadel, where after filling themselves of stew, since Ewan Wolfric was able to buy some carrots and potatoes, they were able to make quite a filling stew. They fill themselves up with food, let the fire die to embers, and they all, well, apart from Eidolon, cozy up by the fire to rest for the evening. Where, in the quiet of the night, when you have all fallen asleep, or as much of the sleep as you can be, we join Ranaagash. We join Matthew.
I was afraid you'd say that.
Yeah, you're not getting away from this.
You could see the fear grip his eyes the second you said it.
As Ran, you awaken from your slumber. With the sun beating through the tan tarp above your head and the scent of smouldering logs from last night's campfire mixing with the scent of roasted game left upon the ashes. You kind of, I suppose, in a sense of confusion, as you are in yourself, you can have full control of your body, your full control of your movements. You kind of spin from your cot and stand up, and you find yourself against dirt floor, against the gravel floor, in a relatively familiar setting, a relatively familiar tent, where you find yourself back home, back in the encampment in the forest of Mire, about nearly a month and a half's travel from where you are now. You can feel the ground on your feet, you can feel the heat from the residual fire, you can even feel the kind of damp winter air. It's almost as if you are here. As you head from the tent and suddenly hear a very familiar voice before a relatively large figure throws an arm around you and pulls you in close. Sleeping again, did we, bastard?
To be so.
You know, one of these days that's actually gonna kill you.
Peaceful way to go.
Yeah, I figured you'd say that. So, what's with the 1,000-yard stare of the day?
Oh, nothing, you know, the usual.
With you, that can literally mean anything.
Fair.
Come on. There's got to be something on your mind.
Pinch me.
I can punch you.
I'd rather you didn't.
Don't want a broken arm again, do we?
I'd rather not, no.
He kind of smirks, laughs, takes an arm around your shoulder, more pinches your arm. You can feel the pain. It hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I do that?
Just checking something.
Checking what?
You know, if this isn't a dream or anything, you know, that sort of thing.
Well, it doesn't feel like a dream.
You would say that if this was a dream, wouldn't you? Because I've dreamed that you'd say that. And that's how these things work.
I'll pretend I understand that.
Just like you do with most things, isn't that right?
I understand more than you give me credit for half the time. It's usually when you start talking about all your dreams, that's where you lose me. So, why do you think it's a dream?
Because I don't remember going to sleep in that tent. Last night, anyway.
Well, you didn't come out hunting yesterday, so my assumption would be you slept in that tent. As he kind of begins to almost walk you through the camp. Do you want to give me a wee perception check? I know you're not very good at them, but...
To copy that for future. -1.
That's not too bad. The encampment does look, I guess, as much as you can remember, it looks very similar. There are maybe a few additional tents. It looks perhaps a little bit larger. You can see quite a lot of newly deforested trees, or newly cut down trees. However, the thing that strikes you, I guess, is setting it off as perhaps not being quite real, is Bartak looks a lot older You notice that his hair is a lot longer, his features are a little bit more defined, and he's more than, I suppose, usual, holding himself with a much stronger air of confidence. The point that it's kind of strange, you can see obviously he's a bit more hunched being a full orc, but even then he's standing with more of a straight back.
Right. Okay.
So, where should you be then, bastard?
About a month and a half from here.
I mean, that's where you wanted to be. As far away from here as possible, if I recall.
Why would that be?
Well, your dad was telling me about what you've been seeing.
Right.
What? Forgive a curious mind, my best friend goes missing, doesn't really tell me what. I'm gonna ask.
It's fair, yes.
That's fair? That's all you got to say?
Again, still trying to figure out what's going on here, but apologies. Let me process this.
All that intelligence gets you nowhere.
Gets me further than you.
Hey, I'm chieftain. Where's it gotten you?
Ah.
Ah?
Nothing. Just ignore me.
I'd actually have a more intelligent conversation with a log at this point. I was hoping to catch up. What? I've not seen you in ages.
How long is ages?
Probably half a year, maybe a little more.
Interesting.
A lot has happened. I want to know what's happened with you.
You know, traveled the world, met some people. You know, nothing interesting yet.
Met anyone special yet?
Not yet, no. But they'd be here, perhaps.
Well, you should probably get on that. Not gonna stay young forever.
No, definitely not.
You know, not a lot really changed when you left. A lot of people
did?
thought it would. Well, we had to stop relying on your visions for everything, but... the elders got by. I just got a lot of their stupid questions. I don't know, I guess I thought you'd be home sooner. It's been heckin' dull without you. As he kind of more pats you on the back, though with enough force that you do kind of stumble a little bit, and a smaller orc, probably 5, maybe 6 months, still stumbling on her feet from one of the other tents, kind of comes over. She is toddler sized, considering orcs are a little bit have a little bit more of an accelerated aging process than most humanoids. As she kind of comes over, stumbles, and he picks her up and more laughs. They do look similar. I don't know, I guess I just thought, well, here, friends and family are all we've got. I guess I just thought you'd get homesick and come home a bit faster.
You know what I'm like, never getting to the point, do I?
Well, then it's not going to be sleep that'll kill you one of these days, but loneliness. Soon all you'll have is those visions.
It's something.
As he kind of more turns his attention to the young girl and kind of more smiles and cuddles her, opening his mouth almost to say something before the sky goes black. You notice that the glade that the encampment is currently stationed in almost ends up with a purple hue clung over it. And quite quickly, on the other side of the encampment, a strange black ichor suddenly begins to rain from the sky. Where, obviously retracting what he was about to say, Bartak instead hands you the young girl. Ran, run for the tree lines. You know you're no good in a fight. Get moving.
Appreciate the insult, but I'll be on my way.
Make sure she's safe, alright? Anything happens to her, it'll be worse than a broken arm for you.
Yes, I'm aware you'll kill me. I know. As
I'm assuming you run for the tree line?
Yeah.
More running, legging it with this young girl. You can kind of see that she is not very happy to be taken by you. She very much wants to go back to Bartak. However, you take her back to the tree line and cast your gaze back towards the encampment, where you watch as the black mass from the sky descends into the camp, where purple flames almost seem to engulf a lot of the tents, casting dark shadows to a relatively panicked crowd. You can see as it approaches Bartak where he draws a relatively large and very familiar sword to face the creature, where slowly the figure of a man, well, if you could call him that, steps forward, standing nearly 9-10 foot tall. Bit taller than Bartak.
Just a bit.
Where you can see the black fire begin to engulf the scene where the two enter into combat, though you don't see the end of it. As quite quickly, and in relatively panicked sweats, you wake up beside the ashes of a dying fire. In the night sky, in the cold air, where you remember falling asleep, with Eidolon staring at you. As Eidolon, in your kind of, I guess, semi-conscious state, as how you sleep, you'll have kind of been keeping an eye over the camp, keeping an eye over the boys, and you'll have watched as Ran has had a relatively peaceful sleep. He's been relatively unmoving, until perhaps 5-10 minutes ago when he started wriggling, squirming, almost running in place, kicking himself out of his bedroll, out from under the wool and blankets, and then suddenly jostles up in a sweat.
Well, okay. I didn't expect that, but okay, here we go, I guess. More just, Eidolon is sitting on the log. He's not lying down or anything, similarly to the night before, stake in the ground, manacled to it. As he more just has both arms resting on his legs, as you can just see very tired eyes looking over at you. You alright there, Greenskin?
Bad dreams all.
As he'd more just give you a nod. I can imagine with your sort of condition.
Most people would use the word gift, but yes.
The way you've described it, I don't exactly think it's the best all the time. I can see how people would consider it beneficial, but...
That's fair.
Want to talk about it?
Let me think about it a bit first. I need to process some things.
He'd more just give you a simple nod. I mean, if it's to do with what's happened over the past few days, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know how common it is in Orcish society to see a man die.
Very.
Then I trust it won't be about what happened in the past few days.
No, that's a different set of things to unravel.
As he'd more just give a simple laugh before almost just turning his head back down, and the best way to put it is it's almost just like watching like an operating system shut down as he more just goes back to like his head more just hanging downwards.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Doesn't play as well.
As what would Ran do, gathering himself?
Probably sit and think and see if he can get back to sleep. No. Or what time is it actually?
It's not late at night. You reckon morning's probably maybe 4 or 5 hours away. You could get a little bit of sleep, at least until your body clock would wake you up.
Yeah, I'll do that.
As you toss and turn and head back to not the best sleep in the world, but you definitely do eventually get back to some sleep. As the sun rises, Eidolon, you're awakened at first light, as usual. Ran, you're not long after him, though it's not through, I guess, the sun rising, more just a very light sleep, a very disturbed sleep. Then Wolfric and Markusar, you're not too far behind them. As the four of you kind of sit a little bit more refreshed, definitely a lot better in terms of your physical strength in comparison to the day before, as you all sit around the fire, prepping yourself for the day ahead.
I'd more just set about getting myself out of my own restraints before anything else. I need to be able to move first.
Eidolon fiddles with key.
Essentially, yes.
Do you require any help there, Eidolon?
As Eidolon would more just look up and look behind him. If you can go back there and find the key I threw away, that would probably be for the best.
Yeah,
I fumble about for the key.
now you see this you shackling yourself. Does that have anything to do with what we saw in that cave?
I suppose that is its whole own subset of questions, isn't it? I'll explain once I'm out of this, if that's okay.
Alright.
Do I find the key?
You do, yes. It was a little bit further away than usual. I guess maybe Eidolon in his own paranoia perhaps threw it a little bit far, but you do find it.
Okay. I bring Eidolon the key.
Yeah, I'd unlock myself out of the manacles, take them back off, leave the stake in the ground because it's too fucking far in to be able to get it out at this point. As he'd more just stand up, more just rub his hand on his wrist for a second. Alright, so if you have any more direct questions, go ahead.
How do you do that? Like you billow with black smoke. Are you one of those things that she is in the back of the town, like a half demon blood? You a little bit of demon, a whole demon.
He'd give you a chuckle, a little bit of demon, a full demon. No, I wouldn't exactly put it like that, though.
Just a demon on your off hours.
You know, moonlighting. You know, it's a way to make a living. No, I guess the best way to put it would be the blooded part, I suppose. It's not ancestral or anything, it's just there at this point. It's something you learn to deal with. The reason I have to shackle myself at night, if you want to put it like that, is... Well, imagine a part of your own body wasn't yours to control. Say your leg could control itself independently of yourself, and would move around if it wished to, without you controlling it.
That sounds mighty difficult to deal with. So it's like that your hand is like foreign, like it's like part of something else, like it's its own independent thing.
He'd give you a nod at that. It's whenever my mind is in control of my body, so sleep would for example, give it control. Back in the cave, whatever that man did with... More just flails his hands around for a second. Whatever type of magic that was, I couldn't control my body, so it could then gain control.
Well, we'll have to avoid you getting magically possessed then.
He'd more just cock his head to the side for a second. Possessed?
Like whatever that spooky bastard did to you. Did he like
Spooky
possess you?
My apologies.
He kept trying to do that to me.
I have.
But I'm different.
I have very
different.
little experience with spellcasters. I have little idea of what charming magic is in the first place. It's probably the reason why you were less susceptible than me. I've never had someone try dominate my mind before.
Well, I don't exactly go out of my way to find it either.
Yeah, but you go out of your way to find things in the first place.
It's very true.
At the very least, during the day, it's nothing to worry about, unless I'm knocked to the ground unconscious, in which then, yes, you might have to worry about it.
I have a question for you, Eidolon.
Is it more just turn around? Look at you.
When I camped outside Hillview, I saw a black mass in the town. Was that you by any chance?
Eidolon would more just ponder it for a second. When I mentioned to you two before, Ranaagash, Wolfric, that I was tracing footsteps, it was because I believed them to be my own. That I was making more sure that I hadn't caused any problems in the town by accident. But they weren't my footprints.
They were someone else's. Were they bigger, smaller, more?
Larger. Definitely larger, but only one set. They stopped at the ranch. It's actually why I stopped at Mary's ranch in the first place. I had no idea that people were going missing. It was just coincidence.
That would just be our fucking luck, wouldn't it?
Yeah, at this point, I wouldn't expect anything else. We'll knock on the first door we come across in the Citadel, and for all we know, there's been an invasion of mongrel folk from the Underdark.
Don't tempt fate.
At this point, our existence is tempting fate, so I'm willing to say it out loud. But no, to answer your question, Markusar, that wasn't me.
Interesting. So, can we assume that we won't have trouble from your affliction?
Again, unless I am not in control of my own mind, it'll be perfectly fine. In fact, if it doesn't unsettle you all, it will actually be more beneficial if I can... This is more just gesture at the arm. Use it.
Okay. Okay, so you have a cursed arm that has a mind of its own. You have prophetic visions, and you have a penchant for manslaughter. Am I the only fucking normal one here?
I feel the
I do
last
not-
one was a little bit of a personal offense.
I'd take offense to that statement.
It's an accurate statement, but it's an offensive statement nonetheless.
Right. You manslaughter once and you get a name for it.
I'm sure, Wolfric, at the end of the day, there's something wrong with you too, even if you don't know it yet. Mainly,
Okay.
currently, that facial hair isn't looking too great. You could call that a curse on its own.
Yeah, right. I have not seen a mirror in about 2 days. Can you give me...
Hey, you point out my bad, I'll point out yours.
This is easily fit. Right. I'm gonna find a puddle. I'm being shamed for my poor grooming, so I'm going to find a puddle.
You can find a puddle. It's quite a shallow puddle. You can see more of the shadow of your face more than the actual face, so it might not be the best job in the world, but...
That's... Well, I can wait.
After Wolfric walks off to find a puddle, I would just turn to Ranaagash and just ask simply, did you get back to sleep?
A bit yes, but no buts. Not for that.
He'd more just give you a confused nod, just like, well, alright, you got back to sleep, and then head back to picking up his stuff.
Shall we make haste for the Citadel?
I see no problem with that.
Right, let's get going. Hang on, would I not have like a hand mirror in my explorer's pack or something?
We'll say no, because if you did, that
think
would be
so.
really embarrassing.
No, I don't think so. It'd be more like a part of probably the, like... Is it the scholars, like the scholars pack, or the one nobles have, which I can never remember what it's called.
Yeah.
Wolfric, do you not have an axe?
I have several.
But like, you just like, do you have like a a whetstone or something like that, and just get the axe to a nice sheen, or you use the axe to shave?
He's got several axes, like...
He's got multiple axes.
I have several axes.
Yeah,
Wolfric just didn't think of that.
you could
I am
polish
the
your battle
center
axe
point
up.
of...
Do you have an axe? I'm glad you axed.
How shiny is my battle axe?
It can get pretty shiny. You're not going to be able to discern colour in it, but if you polished it enough, you probably could see your face enough in it to shave. You just might need to get someone else to hold it.
As we're walking, I'm gonna polish my battle axe. Not my great axe, my battle axe.
So
He will
next
use the
time
great
we
axe to
stop,
shave.
He can shave. As nothing really occurs on your second day of travelling, you don't really meet anyone on the road, and we kind of rejoin you again on your second night, where you are beginning to set up for camp.
I've put the battle axe handle into the ground, and I'm gonna shave with it.
So Wolfric is shaving.
He's
what are-
really trying, isn't he?
What are the three
Alright.
of you doing tonight?
Markusar would probably do as usual and forage for some food.
We've still got potatoes and
You still have some potatoes and carrots.
Yeah, but he's got an acquired taste, something sweet.
Gravelly, dirty.
So Markusar's going out to do a little bit of foraging, perhaps something a bit sweeter.
Yeah.
Ran, Eidolon, what are you doing tonight?
I thought Matthew was about to say something, so I was going to wait
waiting
till
for
he
you
said
to say
something.
something.
You're both too polite. You should just go for it.
The joys of playing on Discord, where no one can tell who's going to talk first.
Well, since Matthew isn't going to, I guess I should. Yeah, I'll also be heading into the forest, probably in a slightly opposite direction to Markusar, and just finding a tree to either sit behind or scale if it's easy enough to.
And what's Ran doing?
First of all, does Wolfric need help steadying his axe?
The axe is shiny. I can see in it. I'm shaving.
Do you need me to hold it for you to keep it
No,
steady?
I've put it in the ground.
You sure?
It's fine, thank you.
Everything's
It's
fine.
He looks-
Thank you.
It looks like a very shoddy job. You reckon he'd probably just be better with a puddle, but he seems to be managing.
He can't discern color, but he's getting there. He's getting it how he likes it.
Is it how he likes it or how she likes it?
That's a good. That's the same answer. And so
Yeah, I was
he's
gonna
done,
say.
and he turns around, and the best way I can describe his facial hair now is Henry Cavill in Mission Impossible.
Oh, do you reload your arms like he does as well?
Reload and grow a beard at the same time. Just go.
So yeah, what's Ran doing?
He's maybe just gonna go hunt as well. Well, just on his way past, just take a look in the axe, just make sure he doesn't need a shave.
He looks alright,
You
he's
know.
looking a bit scruffy, but you might need a shave probably once you get to the Citadel if you're travelling any length after that. As,
Shaving problems? Don't know them.
Okay, Scaly.
Markusar and Ran, can you give me survivals? Just for hunting and obviously foraging. And then we will kind of jump to Eidolon alone in the woods.
Oh my god.
12, 8.
Gotta take my chances with this. There we go.
Oh, a lot better, Matthew.
As Craig, you're alone in the woods. Well, it's not really a wood around here, there's more just individual trees along the hills and delves leading to the Citadel, but you do manage to find one that is a little bit more secluded.
It's
Nothing
just as long as I'm
around
away
it,
from the
phone is
hunting
dead.
grounds of Ranaagash and Markusar.
As far as you're aware, yes, you're far from them.
I feel really- Oh,
Shia LaBeouf.
fucking damn it, Ewan. So I feel really bad for all the nearby wildlife and small birds, because they'd technically be taking damage from me doing this, as I'll expend a key point to activate the Arms of the Astral Self feature.
Okay.
So I feel so sorry for any of the birds that just got massacred by that.
You do hear some, I guess, fall from the tree, as well as the tree itself starts to decay.
I'm gonna be so pissed off when I come back.
Great start. Well, luckily I'm not at the camp right now, so we'll see if we actually receive this tree. As I'd more just turn the arm, sort of let the tendrils and almost smoke come out from the arm and more just hover in front of him for a second. What exactly do you want?
You don't really get a response. At least from your
We've
first.
been in situations before. Ever since we left from the wall, we've been walking. We've been assailed multiple times, and yet not once have you done anything. And yet then you chose to do something. What even are you?
I chose to do something because you were too weak to.
And now you choose to talk.
You insult me.
You spoke once to me and then chose silence for the entire rest of our journey. I'd call that an insult in its own right.
I presumed you were well enough to take care of yourself. I appears I was wrong.
I will admit, I didn't know what that man could do, and I'd never yet experienced something like that. I wouldn't call that weakness, simply unreadiness.
They are the same.
However, what you did was certainly something different, whatever it is you are.
We are.
And suddenly we're a team now?
No, we are one entity. I am in you, you are in me.
And how long does this last?
I gave you a second life. I gave you your chance at vengeance. Carry out your vengeance. Carry out our vengeance. Then perhaps you can decide what happens.
To my perspective, you gain nothing from this.
I gain a life.
In Hillview, was that you?
Perhaps.
Not deciding to speak in any truths?
I speak truths.
And yet you don't know.
It was me, but it was also not me.
Rather vague, rather cryptic, but I trust you won't offer anything more.
I have offered enough that if you were listening, you would understand.
Well, if that's as far as that's going to go, that's as far as that's going to go. As he'd more just dispel the tendrils from his arms.
You feel almost a sharp pain, almost crawling up the back of your neck, and you can kind of feel almost a headache coming on.
Well, that was just unwarranted. As he'd slowly start trudging his way back to camp.
Cool. As Markusar, you are able to return back to camp with not so much anything edible, I guess, but more stuff that you can make quite a sweet tea out of. You managed to find some sweetgrass, which would make quite a nice tea for the evening, rather than something to yum on. And Matthew, you are able to find smaller game once more, mostly rabbits. Rabbits and hares tends to be the prominent game, at least in the plains. And you are able to find some of them, arriving back into camp at a relatively similar time to Eidolon, as he's coming back empty-handed, shall we say. As what the four of you do that evening before bed.
I don't have
would,
much to say. I just have something to think.
I would brew some tea with sweetgrass and offer it amongst the campers.
Who's cooking?
Go for it.
Can I get a wee survival from you then, Ewan? Just to see how good your stew is this evening.
Oh, great.
That's a straight D20 roll.
It's a good stew!
It's good!
We have edible stew!
Let's go!
It is good, it is tasty, it is yummy. Though, you eventually roast some of the game that Ranaagash was able to prepare and throw it in afterwards, after Markusar's had his share.
If Paul does offer me some tea, I'd actually, for at least my portion of it, not anyone else's, I'd mix in some of the black leaves I got from Hazel.
Are those leaves for your thing?
What do you mean? Is he more just start mixing them in?
I'm somewhat familiar with those leaves, and I know that they are incredibly powerful.
Some strong shit we got there.
Powerful enough to do what, would you say?
Yo, it's some good shit, bro. Where'd you get it?
I told you where I got it if you want to go get some.
Treasure one.
Yeah, hit me up, bro. Anyway, I know that to be pretty powerful stuff. Surprised even you can survive it.
Powerful enough to kill something, would you say?
Definitely.
As he'd more just the second you say definitely drink drink most of the tea.
Hands and like put my hands up and just kind of like walk away.
It's got the energy of, oh, vodka, I like your style. It's vinegar. What? It's vinegar, pussy.
I'd go over to Wolfric and offer him a cup of tea as well.
Wolfric would take the tea. Wolfric loves tea.
Oh hell yeah, we all drink tea in this party.
Something I brewed myself.
Very good. Thank you. Haven't had a decent cup of tea in a while.
A recipe that I learned many years ago.
Where are you from?
I don't know.
Paul!
I believe it's the forests of Halden,
that's
Paul.
Incredibly helpful.
But my earliest memory is from the forest of Helidon.
Nice save.
Let me finish, guys. Come on, I had it thought out.
Sorry,
We were so
just
ready to
assumed.
judge you, I'm sorry, Paul.
Don't know. Blank backstory. Just like I am a dragonborn. You figure out DM.
Paul didn't write anything, he just drew a character.
It's Paul didn't even like make a Google document. Just got a letter in the post that's just in big crayon. I dragonborn druid.
It's all written in blue crayon, that's the only reason she knew that he was a blue dragonborn.
The R's are backwards.
Oh, Paul.
Yeah.
Sorry we're bullying you.
Yeah. I don't know where I came from, but my earliest memory was waking up in the forest of Helidon. That was where I was found.
As like a baby? Or did you like wander into the woods as a ween and like get lost and now you can't know, you don't know where you're from?
As my father told me, he found me in a sort of burlap sack hidden under some sort of bush. I can't remember. Obviously.
I take it your father, as he more just does a small air quotation, wasn't a dragonborn in that case?
No, he was an elf. Father of Elios. He was father before me.
Is he still alive? I presume so. Elves live a long time.
He did not, sadly.
That is unfortunate. I'm sorry for your loss.
It's okay. I appreciate the sentiment. He died in a very unfortunate accident. I appreciate that you're laughing about this, Craig.
No, I'm laughing at Ewan's facial expressions, how he went from a regular resting face to just extreme scrutiny in the matter of seconds.
Just deep concern.
Is Markusar lying right now? Yes, he suffered grave injuries.
You mentioned back in 10 that you left your flock, did you say, and with the charge of someone else? Why?
Are you meaning I left my commune in the hands of someone else?
I was more putting it the way that you put it back in Tenon.
Let me check my notes. How did I put it?
I'm not sure, I just remember it as being a conversation that we had whilst walking.
Yes.
I think it was to the mayor's house the first time.
I honestly can't remember what I said. Bad D&D player right now.
You had a conversation with Eidolon, obviously trying to explain your background, explain a little bit about, I guess, your faith, considering you seem very confused about it.
MLM Dragonborn.
He questioned to why you were here, if you were supposed to be the leader of your group, and you said that that you're on an important journey, but
I am burdened with glorious purpose.
Your flock, your commune, you left in the hands of your brother, or a trusted brother.
Yes. When I was named Father of the Green Hand, I was given a task that I must carry out, which takes me to the Citadel. But believe me, my flock are in good hands, as you say.
So what do they actually do? Like, what do you do?
We worship the old faith, and she. We believe...
The what?
The she.
My question remains the same.
She embodies all things natural in the world. She gives life to all, and we worship her.
What does she do for you?
She provides for us and all people by growing crops and giving us materials with which to build and survive with. Of course, we don't take from her. We only take what she gives us.
Eidolon more just seems quizzical at these notions.
We do not fell trees or kill animals. We only take which she has deemed worthy for us to take, such as a fallen tree or the crops that grow naturally.
Surely even
it's a while to build houses then.
Even without this she, surely these resources would come anyway.
No, of course not. She provides for all. As to the whole houses, we don't... My flock, anyway, we don't live in such ways. We camp beneath the stars.
Doesn't sound too bad.
We're a peaceful group. To some.
I really am concerned with the phrasing of that. But we're not going to touch that, and we're going to change the conversation.
Yeah, I feel we don't exactly want to delve into what that means.
Yeah.
I completely understand. Would anyone like more tea?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
I think I'm fine. Do I have
Markusar pours himself.
There?
Markusar pours himself another cup of tea.
Drinks it with malicious intent. Well, what about you then, Wolfric? Where are you from?
I'm from Hovzal in the Gildenfeld Valley. It's really not that exciting. I grew up the son of a lumberjack. I did lumberjack things until I found my way out of that boring ass town. No disrespect to my siblings who stayed, but with all the patience of a whippet, could not stand to be there.
Are you saying that you felled trees that had not been meant to fall?
I really think you hit the nail on the head. It's what a lumberjack is, mate. Kinda what a lumberjack is. We provided the lumber for the building of houses, shops, of course. I'm not alone, I believe when we were back in back in the previous town. The blacksmith has seen my friend Hrafen. We grew up in town together. I haven't seen him in donkeys.
You looking for him, like?
Not particularly. He just happens to be the way we're going. That could mean something. That could mean nothing.
We'll see what it does mean then. I trust you'll find him in the Citadel at this rate.
Yeah.
Though one slightly smaller question. Are the mountains of the Gildenfeld as beautiful as the books describe them to be?
Oh, aye, they're one of the few good things about it. Hiking up in the hills. I remember taking Petunia up there, rolling about.
You'd hear Eidolon almost give a slightly sad sigh to that.
We'll if we run into him in the Citadel, we run into him. If we don't, we don't.
Is this going to be a friendly interaction, or...?
Would you like tea?
I think it'll be a friendly interaction. Unless he's suddenly become a murderous psychopath since the last time I met him.
So this is a good sign then.
Which I don't believe he was inclined to be one, unless he's been, like, possessed by a demon or something.
That's an oddly specific set of circumstances.
I mean, at this point, anything can fucking happen.
Yeah, you've got the nail on the head there.
We fought a weird, spooky elf man with fucked up wolves. 2 of you can do magic. 1 of you has a cursed arm. Literally anything is fucking possible at this point.
Oh fuck! I forgot to stop Em and ask to swing by the garrison to actually send a group of soldiers to the Drow's Cave.
They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out eventually. That's on them.
I mean, I spoke to Nadaras and the captain, so the commander. So all the information's there.
We pray for that. And I guess you're the last one left then, Ranaagash. What about you?
Where am I from?
Roughly, yes.
Forest of Maya.
Think I've read a tiny bit about that. All I know is that's where the orcs come from.
Most of us, yes.
What was
What's it
life
like
like
there?
there?
Boring, mostly. It's a forest. Not much goes on.
I guess in that case, what did you do then? He was a lumberjack. He's a father.
Same thing I always do. You know, see things and insult people.
Was that really what you did?
I mean,
As
I'm a
you get paid
reasonable
for that.
hunter, but I'm no fighter, so... Besides, orcs are very stupid and will fall for anything. Like,
Would you like some tea?
I'll pass.
I feel like you just missed up the chance for tea, honestly.
I know where my next 2 bad portrait rolls are going. No, but I think that's about it. I don't think I had anything else to add to that.
That's it. That's the end of it.
That's
Sorry.
Right. Suggest we be getting to bed so we can get up bright and early to head to the Citadel.
Give a nod.
Did
Sounds
we-
about right.
Ask Eidolon where he's from.
Oh. Do you, Markusar? Considering Eidolon seems to have been quite avoidant on that.
I mean, I'm starting to get ready to head to bed because that's what Wolfric suggested.
Not just yet, Eidolon.
As Eidolon would start standing up, start moving towards a log, stop, turn around. Yes.
What about you? You haven't told us much about yourself, apart from whatever's going on with your arms.
Well, nothing too exciting. I essentially grew up in a barracks. That's about it.
Where was the barracks? Where are you originally from?
I guess the best way to put it is go north until you're not allowed to go north anymore.
So are you from Aramba?
Yes, though I'm surprised the name sounds familiar.
I have the most frightening deja vu that I've been told that you're from along the wall, and I'm sure Markusar was there, so he might just not have been paying attention. But you've told me you're from up the wall, aren't you? You told me.
Probably, though I won't have mentioned that it's a wall, at least not to my knowledge.
I'm sure you mentioned that it was along the wall.
Well, if I have, then that was my own slip. As he'd more give a slight chuckle to that.
Okay, he definitely mentioned it was along the wall.
I probably did. I've probably just
Yeah, I
forgotten.
do remember that. Yeah.
You referred to it by its title of the Great Wall.
Did I?
At least I think you did. I do remember that
Yeah.
conversation though, yeah.
Cool. That's my bad then. That's just my bad.
Let's go.
So, yeah, you were a soldier on the barracks wall, weren't you?
I don't suppose the term means anything to, well, any of you at this point.
No, not the longest.
That's the best way to keep it then. For all sakes and purposes, just a soldier. As he turned around and started to head back to work.
Not just the soldier.
What was that, Paul?
Eidolon was most definitely not just a soldier.
As you all retire for that evening, all heading to bed and all heading to sleep, where in the quiet of the night once more. It's okay, Matthew, I'm leaving you alone this time.
Only this time, though.
Only this
Oh no,
time.
which one of us is it?
Paul!
Great.
You are disturbed from your slumber by a voice, a very soft voice, calling your name. And when you wake up to answer it, you are no longer beside the fire pits. You are no longer beside the dirt road. You're instead lying upon lush grass in the middle of a glade during the middle of the day, with the sun beaming down in a very familiar setting. As you sit up, pushing yourself from the ground, to find yourself in the centre of the standing stones, back in the forest of Hilden. A very familiar setting to yourself, as it is your faith and also your sect's main place of worship. Your camp, you reckon if you were to walk down the hill, wouldn't really be that far from here, at least from how you remember it. Though as you stand, getting your bearings, you feel a very familiar wind, very similar to the day that you asked for forgiveness after murdering a man and his horse.
Why you gotta bring it up all the time? Oh, it's like, I can't catch a break.
I just got it. As the warm wind begins to encircle you, picking up the debris, the leaves, the grass, even petals of the flowers, and begins to intertwine and dance around the standing stones, before slowly you can watch as the debris trapped within begins to take form, morphing into that of a deer made from twig and twine, with the mane like its antlers being made out of branches and then the mane being made almost out of flowers.
Wow.
As it begins to step into the standing stones, you can see very yellow eyes almost glowing and staring at you. You question me, Markusar.
Are you she?
I am, in one form.
Was that you in the fields outside Tenon?
You asked for forgiveness.
I had lost control.
I come now, for you have only asked for forgiveness once. The first time in that field, when I came to you, you did not ask for forgiveness. You questioned me.
I did not mean to question you. I know of your power and your presence, but I don't feel like I have the same connection to you as I once did.
And that is because you are no longer in this place. You spent your life under my shadow. You are no longer in it. But that does not mean that you are no longer connected to me.
Will my connection to you dwindle as I stray further from this place?
It depends on where your journey takes you. My reach does not extend as far as some may think. But that is why you do not question.
I don't know how far my journey will take me. I don't really know where I'm going.
That I cannot tell you. I cannot see where your journey will end.
I seek something that Father said would help us.
Is that truly what you seek?
It's all I know. I've been here my whole life. I don't know much else. I guess I seek answers.
There's nothing much more I can say to you. I merely wanted to remind you I was here, that I am still listening.
I thank you. And I do a sort of very low bow.
The deer kind of begins to walk over the fields, walk over towards you, and as it does so, it begins to dissipate, turning back into debris and wind, though you can still hear the voice on the wind, as just before you wake up, you can hear it say kind of this following bit to you.
Okay.
Markusar, remember progress bends the world in all forms. It comes to twist hearts into hollow shadows. Break away and stay true. You will find what you seek in the end. As you drift back off into slumber and sleep.
Cool. Can you send me that? Because I couldn't write fast enough.
I will do. I will send you it.
Thank you.
As we'll take a little break there, as Markusar has had his encounter with the she, and we will rejoin you all in a little bit. Because I need a juice. I foolishly forgot my bottle. So we'll see you all.
Everybody's getting fucking juiced, you know?
We'll see you all in a little bit.
1,880,000,000.
That's your current ping.
That was. It keeps going up and down.
See, this
We have
is
to wait at least 3 parallel universes
this is
before
what we have
Paul
to deal
speaks and we
with.
can hear it.
trying to do a Discord game, guys. It's not fun.
If only I could
Yeah.
move back to my flat.
Haha,
I can't
so-
do that.
Ah.
Corona.
Big Rona.
Away from
Anyway.
Rona and to D&D, which is
Yes.
a lot better of a topic.
Yes.
Where, Matthew, I need you to roll me some dice.
Yes.
This is the pick on Matthew session.
Oh, it's the
Um,
big, it's the big combo again, isn't it?
Yeah, so 2d4, no, a d6 and 2d4s. And then the final dice is determined on what the first ones roll.
It's time for spooky bullshit.
It's only a little bit of spooky bullshit. As I go off screen to find my pen. Oh.
Oh.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
Whenever M sounds mildly like surprised by something, it's never a good thing.
Oh. Oh, that's not. It's a bad O.
It's a bad omen.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Where's the gun? I need to shoot myself.
Yeah, just leave now. Never come back, ever. So it's that one... That one. That one. So I need you to roll me another d6.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
She looks contemplative. That's not good.
No, I just... I didn't think I'd get to use this one for a very long time.
Oh no.
Matthew, my heart goes out to you in this instance.
As
Pray for me,
Matthew,
y'all.
I do need a Constitution saving throw from you as well.
Oh god.
Ouchies.
Okay.
It's okay. This is just your reaction to what your physical reaction. See if the boys can determine what's going on. This is,
I mean, it's above 10.
yeah, but it's still not great. As Ranaagash, you wake up from that morning.
Mhm.
Though I guess you feel a little bit disorientated, a little bit more confused, though you feel, I guess, a sense of anger as you wake up that morning. You're not too sure why, until your vision starts to clear and you find yourself in a very unfamiliar setting, a very unfamiliar location. As you are, I guess, on a stone rampart. You can see the expanse of the wasteland, black ground, sword and purple, with howling, screaming, screeching, racing towards it. You can feel yourself, I guess, alone, though not fearful, not sad. You almost feel a sense of pride in your anger, as through these eyes, you can see yourself wielding quite a heavy weapon, quite a heavy mace, though wielding it with no issue at all. As when you look down and see your garb, it looks very similar to Eidolon in terms of his bracers, his gauntlets, even the blue of his tunic and his trousers. As there are creatures standing around you, almost expectantly. Monstrous creatures, half human, half canine, half feline, half, I guess, amalgamates. However, there are some, I suppose, more normal folk there. They seem to be cowering, they seem to be fearful. They are gathered, these monsters, almost cornering them, keeping them penned, as you begin to walk towards them, mace in hand. Up towards a woman who is rightfully terrified. She looks very gaunt in her face, very pale. You watch as you raise your mace. Very unblinking, very calm, very steady. You don't even feel yourself shake. Bring it down against her head. She falls to the ground. However, she's not dead. As you raise your mace, bring it down a second time, a third time. Hearing the crunch, hearing the splatter, watching the stone turn red. Before the monsters that are gathered, grouping the others into this small corner of the ramparts, begin attacking, killing them, almost ripping them apart as you took your blow. However, your vision doesn't end there, as the figure more shakes off the mace, lifts it once more, turns to look over his shoulder, and you see Eidolon on his knees, being held down by two monsters, as this figure that you're watching, seeing through their eyes, walks over, raises the mace, and brings it down against Eidolon's skull. Where Eidolon, Wulfric, and Markusar, you watch as you're obviously all getting ready that morning, you're all getting up, getting sorted. Ranaagash starts getting up, starts getting ready, starts coming over for a bit of tea and breakfast, and suddenly falls to a knee, almost as if he's just been winded.
Are you okay, Ranaagash?
Fine. I'll live.
Was
Are you
there-
sure?
Was
Yes.
that a vision?
Yes.
Is there anything you need to
At
tell
least
us?
so far, you've never had such a guttural reaction to one.
You just turn, as you say that, you just turn and look at Idol and just go, just a normal soldier, my ass, huh?
Excuse me.
I'm sure we can connect the dots there.
Yeah, rather quickly.
So,
Do we need to take a walk, Greenskin?
possibly.
As he'd more just turn to Wulfric and Markusar. Would you two mind cleaning up the camp?
No worries.
Are you sure this isn't something we should all discuss together?
Not now, Markusar. As Eidolon would turn around and walk towards the woods.
Let them resolve it.
And more just like gesturing back to Ranaagash, more just this way.
I'll follow him.
I would walk out to the tree that I had the conversation with before, since I know that's a secluded point I found before.
Mm-hmm.
Stand against the tree. More just cross arms. Speak.
How do I go about this? Let's see. Big fellow with a mace, several things, and a lot of civilians that didn't last long.
When you have these visions, do you hang above? Do you watch over?
Depends. You know? Sometimes it's bird's eye, sometimes it's, shall we say, like watching a train wreck from the inside. Wait, what's a train? I don't know what a train is.
Carriage wreck, maybe?
A carriage wreck from the inside, yes. That's the one. Fourth wall's looking a little less sturdy than last time I checked.
I can almost see the people talking on the other side. Then what perspective did you take?
Garage wreck. You'd understand the reaction when you're the one doing things.
Words seem to be failing you right now. Just be blunt with it.
Ironic, your choice of wording there, because you was rather blunt with you. Or should I say your skull?
I've died once. Your words can't do it a second time.
I could try.
And you'd inevitably fail. What else did you say?
That was about it.
What, it just started, and you watched him bludgeon me to death?
As well as a woman as well, but that didn't seem quite as topical.
Eidolon almost dead eyes stares you for a second before reaching into his pocket and taking out a small golden ring before slipping it back onto his gauntlet. That
It
explain
is-
why it's topical.
Yeah, I suppose.
So what? What do you need to get out?
Well, he was quite blunt with her as well, let's put it that way.
I know, I watched. Whoop-de-fucking-do.
That is all. That's what it was. That's what I saw.
So why the outburst? Nothing I said was a lie.
No, but that wasn't quite what I was going for. It wasn't, oh, you've lied, Good with words, but not good at explaining them, huh? Wasn't... Oh, you lied to me. You kept something from me. You didn't say anything. It was... I could tell there was a lie a mile off. It was... By the she, man. That's something.
No, believe me, nothing of what I said is a lie. I was just a regular soldier. But by my own standards.
That's fair.
I can trust what you saw. I experienced it. I don't need to know what it was. But I just suppose if you have any questions, I can answer them. But besides that, I don't have much to say. I was more just worried you were accusing me of something.
No. Just a bad habit of insulting people. I shouldn't.
I'll usually, don't get me wrong, I'll be fine with it, just not then.
Yeah, touchy subject. I get it. But no, when I have questions, I will. But for now, I'm still coming to terms with the fact that what I saw in that cave was not a poisoned-induced hallucination.
Excuse me?
The thing back, the crypt, the hole with the woman, in your arm.
Wonderful. Yes, of course.
That one.
Yes,
The one.
that one. I'm aware.
That was an hallucination. I've seen some things, man, but that's... Oof.
So, you know something about me? Do you want to even up the trade?
What do you want to know?
Anything, really. Ever since we started traveling, well, you talk to the people we meet. Yes, you insult them, but yes, you talk to them. But the second we want to know something about you, you shut up. I'd ask you keep what you saw from the rest of the group. I don't exactly want that scene coming out again. Don't exactly need to think about it again. But I'd ask in trade, since you know that, as unwilling as it probably was, I want to know something about you.
Let's see. Alright. Maybe it's time I play the... I never lend cards, I don't know the metaphors. I'll tell you the big one.
The big one.
The big one.
As Eidolon would give you a laugh at that one, we're just leaning against the tree for a second and give a chuckle.
The reason I'm here, traveling and not still sitting in Miar Forest twiddling my thumbs and insulting people is, well, as you maybe have guessed, something I've seen.
I guess, but I have absolutely no idea what that could entail.
Death, basically. Not just the one, not just a couple, all of them. Every single last orc in that forest.
Damn, that is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
As he'd more just keep looking at you, more just giving you your time.
The worst part, though? It's never the same twice.
What do you mean?
Sometimes it's a massive forest fire that gets out of hand. Sometimes it's some rampant beast, can't be controlled, not killed, Sometimes it's some unknown plague that just...
So what? Your visions get metaphorical with you?
No, but it's not one I can do. It's not one that's obvious I can fix. It's not, hey, let's not, let's watch where we keep our dry tinder. Let's keep an eye out for this thing. It's
just gonna happen.
It's an unknown variable, and I don't know how to deal with that.
Well, I'm sorry there's not much I can offer you.
I didn't expect you to. It's fine.
The max I can say is that if you ever need to talk about it, then... He'd more just give a shrug. Though I don't know how much talking can help.
No.
More just giving you the floor in case you want to say anything else.
No, that's me. I'm done. I've said my piece. I played my trump card. There we go. That's the expression I was looking for.
Well then, I think it's about time we headed back then.
Yes, indeed.
Especially if you intend to be waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweats most nights.
We'll see.
As he'd more just give you a pat on the back and start moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys come back into camp, where Markusar and Wolfric have managed to pack away at least most of the camp, making it, other than the fire pit or the remains of the fire pit, making it pretty much unnoticeable that you guys were even here.
I'm picking up a case of beer Remember we were taking those?
Yep, we're taking those cases of beer.
We haven't forgotten that they're there.
No,
Not yet.
Yeah.
You still have them. You still have them with you.
I'm like,
Right.
I'm picking up mine and turn back to Eidolon and Ranaagash and like, have you settled your differences?
Right, we're gonna get going. I think we
There
better
weren't
get
any
moving right along.
differences.
with
As
the-
I go down and pick up one of the crates.
Yes.
You have three crates.
Yeah.
As with differences settled, so to speak, and crates gathered, camp returned to some normality. You guys set out once more. On your last day, or at least your last full day of travel before you get to the Citadel, where, once again, though I guess a few more people pass you by, you can see travellers starting to walk down the main road, probably heading towards Hillview, the traffic begins to pick up a little bit. Whereas getting into that evening, where you can see the crest of the Citadel in view, it's just a little bit too far out for you to at least make it before nightfall, you see 3 men walking down the road. Just as you're kind of setting up just off the road, as you have been for the past 2 nights, setting up for camp. They are dressed in half plate. Most of their adorning garbs are blue, and they kind of see you setting up camp. Seeing the time of day, they begin to pull themselves over to the side of the road to almost join you. As one of them kind of steps forward, places a hand on his chest and kind of gives you a short bow. I'm sorry, gentlemen, but do you mind if we stay with you this evening?
Eidolon would awkwardly shuffle himself quite far away from the base campsite.
Aye, that should be no problem as long as you're not causing trouble.
I don't
Plenty.
intend to.
Plenty of space by the fire.
As Wolfric, as these men kind of come around the fire just as you're starting to light it, you notice an emblem upon at least several of their breasts. The gentleman who was speaking to you actually has it upon his pauldron. It is very similar to yours, however your dragon spirals and comes to rest at the hilt of the sword. Their dragon comes to rest at the base of the blade. You've seen this symbol a few times in your travelling. You are the or part of the Iron Dragons of the North. This is a splinter group of the same mercenary band known as the Iron Dragons of the South. They usually set out of West Cross, but are known to deal with, I guess, the more southern jobs, keeping you guys in Drakenel and keeping you guys in the Gildenfeld. These are just the guys who prefer the warmer climate and usually the easier jobs. But he kind of takes a seat by the fire, notices yourself as well, and more just laughs. Didn't think I'd see one of you so far down here.
Well, what can I say? Life's full of surprises.
Actually, I didn't actually know if I'd see any of you guys again, but that's another story.
Oh, trust me, we're still out there.
Partly so, partly so. So, what brings one of you so far down here?
I'm hunting game.
On the road to the Citadel?
I'm looking for directions for a creature.
Well, if you're looking for directions, I guess Citadel's better place than any.
You wouldn't have happened to have bumped into anyone with the same symbol as me, or one of your symbols. The
There's
Citadel, besides yourselves.
There's a few of the south in the Citadel, at least at this point in time. In terms of the north, no, I've not seen any. Though if you're heading to the Citadel, I'd speak to the Master of Arms. If any of our troop have been through there, north or south, they'll have gone through him. Sorrow's he's an agreeable old man for an orc, but he'll give you what you need. He's usually good to us, at least whilst we stay there.
You always trust a master of arms. They usually know what's best for their men.
Most of them. Though Sorrow likes to take his pleasure in it. I guess it's the orc in him. As he kind of more turns to Ranaagash, seeing you in the fire. I, of course, mean no offence.
I'm taken.
Loyalty just bends differently for your people. Not an insult, it's more of a compliment. I have never found a backstabbing orc, but I have worked with hundreds of backstabbing men.
So, you said you never expected to see one of my kind alive again. What have they been telling you at the southern base?
The last news we got from Drakenel, most of you, don't get me wrong, there are some, though at least what we know they stay in the barracks now. You all got wiped out by a dragon of some kind.
wasn't a fucking dragon. Whatever that thing was, it can do so much more than what a dragon can do.
Either way, we got told that pretty much everyone who left the barracks that day didn't return.
Yeah, but they're still out there. I intend to prove that I can find who is still out there.
I wish you luck though. We've just come back from a job. We were escorting someone for the Citadel. A poncy old fellow, but he paid us the coin.
Very similar to the job that we were on, except he ended up in a gorge.
Well, maybe we're just better at our job than you are.
I mean, you can think that. You're entitled to your wrong opinion.
Maybe they just don't train the north as well as they train the south, eh boys? As the three of them kind of chuckle.
I can't believe that the disrespect that I'm getting from some vacation in sellswords. Everybody knows that you join the south if you want an easy ride with good pay. Now,
And warm weather. Warm weather.
Being a member of the Northern Iron Dragons puts some fucking hair on your chest.
Well, you know, at least it means that we can have a full belly, a warm bed, and stay clean shaven for, you know, less than a week. When's the last time you slept in a bed then?
When were we in that town? About 3-4 days ago?
3 days.
Wow, you stayed in Hillview. Well, you're braver than the rest of us, I can give you that. The innkeep there's a nightmare.
Be surprised what you can get done if you're nice to people.
Well, we can be nice occasionally. It's usually just the old cods that give us a bit of trouble, but... Though you wouldn't know anything about old codgers, would you now?
What are you implying there?
Nah, I don't think you're that old, at least.
Settle down, ladies. You're both beautiful.
What is it with people around here and implying I'm old?
I guess you're just looking a bit more weathered then, if you're not that old.
I suppose that's what happens when you see actual action.
Yo, fuck him up, Wolfric.
You boys are quite lucky though if you're heading to the Citadel now.
How so?
They're currently preparing for one of their festivals. Likely if you're in town you'll be able to see it. It's their... He kind of looks around, looks at his mates. I guess none of you are really from around here.
No, what gave it away?
Well, I was more gesturing to... and kind of awkwardly points towards Ranaagash, Markusar and Eidolon. I know you ain't from around here. No, it's one of their guild's festivals. It's, I guess, one of the biggest festivals of the year. We call it the Celebration of the Six. Town will be a bit busier than usual, so if you're not used to crowds, it will be a bit of a change of pace from the northern trails.
Eidolon gives an audible groan at the fact it's going to be busy in there.
He kind of looks over you and kind of cocks an eyebrow. You're going to the Citadel, mate. You know it's going to be busy, right?
Wouldn't know, never been.
It's the capital. It's going to be busy whether there's a festival or not. You're just going to get more people there.
Whoop-de-doo, I'm looking for one. Don't need more.
Well, if you're looking for someone, your best bet would be to go to the guild house. They know everyone.
That's the plan.
Markusar's kind of pondering the idea of maybe setting up a soapbox.
That's genius!
Are you gonna ask that they change the name to the Six and the She?
So, we've got our own stuff. I'm just like, oh, there's lots of people there. Maybe it's good recruiting
It's
opportunities.
free real estate.
It's
Shh.
real estate.
Right. We've got stuff to deliver as well, so we're going to be heading off to bed soon.
We're going to get some rest, aye.
Eidolon would give a very awkward glance towards the three he's already traveling with. Since these people have asked to, sleep near us.
Oh yeah, Eidolon's not got ready for bed yet.
Right.
There's a suitable camp spot just beyond those trees.
You already invited us by your fire.
Of course, but there's not that much space around here to set up beds. I could help.
Markusar, it's-
Is the fire still going?
It would kind of be not as big. It would kind of be more like smoldering or
Temptation just to start cooking some of the black leaves on it.
More like, is there like space in this little not place? Is there space in this place? I'm sounding like Dr. Seuss. For all of us to like camp our beds, or is it like, oh, there's not enough space around this fire. Maybe you should set up your own fire.
You wouldn't
There's
really
definitely
have. There wouldn't be a space like directly beside the fire, but there is enough space. Like you're next to the roadside, just off on a small hill. Like there is enough space for the 7 of you.
So me trying to like get these people to camp elsewhere, it's kind of like a
Don't think it's gonna work.
feeble lie.
More just a sigh, sizing up the area. Eidolon would start preparing himself for his bedtime routine.
As the Pittons find they don't particularly react to that. It's when the manacles come out that you kind of see the 3 men just kind of like, I suppose, give each other awkward glances, more in a hushed tone, kind of just gesturing towards Wolfric.
Oh, he sleepwalks.
Ranaagash, would you mind coming over here?
It's debilitating. We don't want him wandering off in the night, so it's easier than like tying him to a tree, and it's like a bit more dignified.
I'd fasten the manacle, make sure it's absolutely like fastened in, pass the key to Ranaagash and just say, don't lose it.
Whatever works, I guess.
We've all got our fixes for stuff.
Could I offer you boys some tea?
Poison.
Shit in the tea.
Not
Piss in the
before,
tea.
not before bed.
Settle down there, Abaccio.
That was the joke.
Okay, fine. More for me.
As you all head to bed that evening.
I would just, since I'm only really in a semi-conscious state anyway, I'd essentially just be staring at the 3 men, just like, don't move a fucking inch or you're dead.
Eidolon is incredibly paranoid.
Any twitch beyond sleep and you're executed on the spot.
As they do seem to sleep, they sleep fine. The rest of you get a good night's rest and you all wake up in the morning where you bid the men farewell, unless there is anything else that you particularly want to ask them or say to them.
No dreams.
No dreams. As the 4 of you part ways from the 3 men and begin to make the last leg of your journey to the Citadel.
God, Wolfric, please don't tell me all the Iron Dragons are like that.
It's just the southern ones. They're the ones who wanted the easy life with the easy jobs.
Thank God. They were insufferable.
Yeah. You see, they wanted the name of the Iron Dragons with none of the, required, like, hard work or effort or respectable qualities. So all of them got egos the size of a fucking mountain.
God, it would have been funny if one of you, if you actually fought with one of them. That would be funny.
I've sparred with them maybe once. They are definitely of lower stock quality than the folk we produce in the north.
To be
I
fair,
gathered by the fact that all 3 of them were shivering like children, despite the fact their bedrolls were puffier than I don't have a comparison.
Puffy thing.
Like a pastry.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, when you're in a threadbare shirt doing push-ups in the snow-coated forests, you kind of develop a bit of a thicker skin than they do down here.
Yeah, I gathered that. I take it you don't keep my key from me, Ranaagash.
No, I'm not gonna.
You'll
Just to be funny, guys, you haven't unshackled me, guys, where are you going? Guys,
I just
where are
turned
you
to one of the other guys and just like, as I'm giving them a handshake, just slip them the key, and just leave it.
going?
Of course, we unmedical Eidolon.
You make your way to the Citadel, which
Yay.
for all 4 of you is a very, very new sight. It is nothing like any of you have ever seen before. The closest you have come to a town or a city, at least at this point, will have been Tenon. Paul, Markusar will have, I guess, been a little bit closer to perhaps a bit more of a hold, an actual established lordship, being very close to Summerhost and visiting there on occasion.
On occasion.
But even then, the Citadel does not compare. I guess the only thing that could perhaps compare are some of the views that you have Eidolon when you are back home.
Well, yeah, it does look like a giant palace from the outside.
It does, yes. As you can see, crested atop of hill, though it is now greyed from the amount of cobble that has been surrounding it, is relatively old stone walls and ramparts. Surrounding them are, again, made of mismatched and old stone, as a second wall surrounds it. Then branching off to the eastern side, get my cardinal directions correct, you can see another set of walls, very new, some of them not even finished yet, as sets of gates on the far east side, not too far from the shores of the Eastrix Basin, are being constructed. You guys are heading into the western walls, the main entrance to the Citadel. These gates, 10 times larger than anything you've seen before. They stand a lot taller than those in Tenon, and they're a lot more well defended. They're also a lot more decorated as well. The great diamond of the Citadel, of the Dynast house, being emblazoned on a lot of the ramparts and a lot of the decorations. The iron grates of the gates are not down, they are up, to the point where it looks like they've not been dropped in a very, very long time. You can see as you're starting to make your way through the great gates and into the town that the chains, at least holding them up, are, whilst in very good condition, are very dusted and even gathering some rust in places, as the metal has not been moved in a very long time to be tended to properly. As you break into the gates, you are quite quickly consumed by a crowd, as the town is very, very busy. You can see that the buildings do break away slightly as you get a glimpse of a church and a very ornate churchyard to the left-hand side of this quadrant, of this district. But every other building seems very, very similar in style, very, very similar in design, with the only difference being the age of the stone and brick that it's been made from. You reckon that it's probably going to get pretty easy to lose your way, at least until you kind of get your bearings, or at least find someone who knows their way around town. You can also see that it is very easy to differentiate the travellers to the locals, as you're making your way through the starting streets of the Citadel, there are a lot of people putting up buntings and banners of various different colours with various different sigils being emblazoned upon them. Even some stalls being set up in the less than narrow streets and the kind of small openings and widenings as people gather and seem to be discussing in hushed tones the preparations for, by the sounds of it, a festival. Most likely the one that the Southern Dragons told you about. However, what I need you to do is, as you're making your way into the Citadel, I need you all to make me perception checks.
This is, I think, the first roll of the night.
Well, other than Matthew's.
No, we've had.
And
Oh yeah, the survival rolls.
Yeah.
God, if it's not Craig's roll, it doesn't matter.
Even now.
What do I have? +2 again.
This is non-nat 1.
That's impressive. That's just my passive.
That is just your passive. Ewan got the best perception.
Let's go.
So, as you're making your way, there are several people bumping into you. It's quite tight, at least in the entryways and the entry streets of the Citadel as you're kind of moving your way through, trying to find your bearings, and I guess find a space where at least you can gather, you can stop to at least work out where you're going, where you need to go. Where Eidolon and Wolfric, you guys will be able to see this. The Wolfric, you notice it almost just as it's happening. As you watch is quite a small child, probably in their early teens, taking advantage of the tight crowds, seeing that you are very much travellers, bumps into Ranaagash, bumps into yourself, hence why you catch his sight, then bumps into Eidolon before picking up his pace and running off. Eidolon, you notice this as well, seeing the small kid bump into you, kind of turn around, hurriedly hush sorry at you, and then kind of pick up his pace and leg it through the cloud. Why is it so hard for me to say this? Leg it through the crowds.
Yeah.
And as you kind of pat about your person, try and work out if anything is missing, as that is usually your first thought, you notice that the leaves that Hazel gave you are missing.
Oh no, those could kill a person!
We're gonna,
I turn to the rest of the group and just say, fuck, as I turn around and go after the kid.
Yeah, we'll go after the kids, yeah.
As Eidolon runs, Wulfric runs,
I guess
Markusar.
I guess I'm. Oh, okay, and just like follow them.
Movement speed is 40, by the way, so
Yeah.
Oh crap.
I'm a little bit faster than most.
Okay, well, I'm trying to keep up and just like keep you in sight.
I'm imagining you just fucking.
Do you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna go all in. So I'll dash, make it 80, then key point dash for 160.
Jesus, you just disappear.
So essentially, it's just like I notice the black leaves are gone. And it's just like a child could die if they accidentally eat that, and then it's just like the almost cartoonish turns into the puff of smoke and is already running off in the other direction.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
So yeah, 160 movement speed.
As you begin to quite deftly dodge through this crowd, Wulfric, you are able to keep up somewhat, mostly because you're just following the calamity of Eidolon obviously pushing through the crowd, and Markusar and Ranaagash you kind of tail afterwards. Eidolon, you chase this child for quite some time. They are slightly smaller than you, so even with your increased movement speed, they have a little bit more dexterity than you do, just because they can get into the smaller corners.
Damn stupid child.
However, you are able to catch up, if only because it runs into more of a dead end. You can see a very small break in a fence where they're probably going to head and try and get away from you again. However, that is very unlikely considering, well, a relatively large orc has the kid by the scruff of the neck, and you can kind of just hear him as you more grind your heels to a halt. Really, we're doing this again.
Does this look like a town guard, or?
Not really. He's not really armoured. He does have a weapon to him, which is quite a hefty weapon. It's quite a big sword, but he's not in plate, he's not in armour, he's just in a regular padded tunic, more like a gambeson. Several belts across his sides and in regular trousers, though he does wear iron greaves and iron sabatons. He's just not armoured on the top half of him as he's holding this child. You can kind of see that he has quite a forward protruding jaw. One of his tusks is broken, and you can kind of see that he only has half of one of his ears, as it looks like it's probably been bit off by something. Very, very dark skin in comparison to Ranaagash, almost like a deep forest green in comparison to Ranaagash, which is more of an earthy green.
Now, I don't particularly care for what's going on here, but that kid took something particularly dangerous from my person, and my only care is getting it back.
He kind of puts the kid down. Well, go on, and I'll take whatever else you've got. We can deal with that later. As the kid kind of just more pulls down on his tunic, fixes the creases, the ruffles, comes over, hands you back the jar, very begrudgingly.
Is everything in the jar still in the jar?
Yeah, he's not had the time to take anything out of the jar.
Is it like those scenes in movies where they keep like taking off weapons from like secretly, like just comically a comicable amount of stuff that he couldn't possibly hold on his person?
Essentially, yeah, as he turns from Eidolon and starts, the orc kind of outstretches a hand. You can watch him do this. Eidolon, you kind of watch as the kid just starts unloading loads of stuff. From coins, jewellery, bracelets, rings, necklaces, even like boot buckles and belt buckles, just from random pockets.
Does any of this appear to be stuff that Wulfric, Markusar, or Ranaagash had?
Nope.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll take my time then to just leave, because I've gotten everything I needed from that.
As you kind of turn and break, that is when Wulfric, you catch up, and then Markusar and Ranaagash, you come after, seeing this relatively now quite comical pile appear in this orc's hand as this kid is turning out his pockets.
I take it he is a serial offender at this, is he?
Occasionally, yes. He likes to try his luck more than anything else.
And your name is?
Sorrow. And yours?
Wulfric Reinhardt.
Not seen you yet in town.
I'm passing through. I'm a member of the Northern Branch, the Iron Dragons.
Not seen one of you in a while.
Seems like there might not be much of us left, but I'm trying to find who there is.
Well, if you meet me in the barracks, you'll be able to find it. It's in the old town.
Right.
I'll deal with this, and perhaps I can, ease your mind to where some of them might be.
I'd appreciate that greatly. I will meet you there.
Very kind stranger. Share 5 words with him. He's like, yeah, I'll help you.
He's a member of the Iron Dragons. We're badasses.
Yeah.
He kind of more looks at the rest of you with more of a perplexed look. You're all new here too, yeah?
Somewhat, yes.
Aye, just heading to the guilds, finding someone, and getting out of this cramped place as soon as possible.
How much
Indeed.
coin you got on you?
None. Don't need
I
to
did-
carry much.
I don't carry anything. It's been a rob us.
A very poor choice.
Right. So what you'll want to do is, whether you're staying in here for a night, unless you want to be seeing this one again, as he kind of gestures down to the small child who just you watch him pull more stuff out of his pockets.
Just pick him up and shake him.
You'll probably want to go to Honeydew's. She's not too far from the docks. You'll be able to see her. If she takes in wandering strays, you won't have to pay her a coin. Just be warned, she's a bit odd.
Not perchance related to someone called Hazelnut, is she?
No.
That's my exact thinking.
See if this is another fucking gnome. See if it's another weird gnome.
The advice is certainly appreciated and will go to use, but I don't exactly intend to be here for longer than a day.
Yeah, but if you don't have the coin, nowhere else is going to take you. Unless you can sing.
I turn to Ranaagash.
Not really my style.
Right, so we'll head to Honeydew's.
As he kind
We
of
can head
more...
to the-
He kind of leaves the 4 of you, more turns his attention back to the child. Are we quite done here, or is there more? As a few more things come out the kid's pockets before the kid eventually turns an empty pocket. Right. Come on then. As he walks past you with the kid, making sure the kid stays under his arm, as you kind of watch him disappear into the crowds, though it's still quite easy to see him, as his height and skin tone, I suppose, more make him stand out, even amongst some of the oddities of the Citadel. As passing through here, you did see, I guess, a few more Dragonborn, and even a few of the more demonic-blooded Tiefling.
That first place. Right, let's get to Honeydew's.
Eidolon is visibly uncomfortable at the sizes of the crowds here. Sorry.
Do you not do well with crowds?
Nope, never will. In fact, I've dealt with a lot. I feel you can at least understand that, Wolfric, through what you do most of your
Absolutely.
dates. But this makes me want to vomit.
Right, let's get heading to Honeydew's then.
Who is leading this band?
Me.
Yep, I'm following Wolfric. I'm uncomfortable.
Give me a wee survival, Ewan, just as you're navigating.
Can I assist him with it?
I would say no, because you're uncomfortable right now.
Damn it! I cursed myself.
19.
Yes!
Nice.
So, you managed to at least navigate your way back to the western gates, back to the kind of main gates into the Citadel, and from there you are able to at least see the docks, so you navigate the streets with relative ease, getting to the port, where you can see quite a few ships sitting in the Eastrix Basin, fishing boats and otherwise, and you can also see the dockyard, where the ships are currently being both repaired and built. However, tucked away, just not too far from the pier, with quite a nice view, you can even see a balcony to it, is a small yellow building with a little B sign outside. It says Honeydew's.
Aw.
Oh, that's cute.
adorable. I head up to the door and we head in.
It is, I suppose, quite a strange wee shop, as you can hear, apologies for this, Craig, buzzing. More just because I know you don't like that aesthetic. But you can hear buzzing, you can smell the sweet smell of honey. it is most likely that there is an apiary in
Live
here
bees?
somewhere. However, the building itself seems to be more hostel-like. It's got a small set of stairs, everything seems to be contained in this very small room, and it doesn't really look like there's much on the second floor. Perhaps only a few bedrooms that you'll most likely have to share. What you can see, though she more turns to face the four of you as you knock and head in, is a more elvish woman, at least in her appearance, most likely a wood elf or a high elf. Though she is very old, probably in her last century or so, garbed up in essentially thick leathers that are very sweet smelling and very clearly draped in both beeswax and honey. And as she more turns to face you, the thing that kind of, I guess, gives you a step back when you stare at her is the fact that she's wearing glasses that seem to almost magnify her eyes tenfold. As you can just see, like, very circular glasses and then just the iris and the pupil just almost enlarged because of the magnification of the glasses.
Like the Coke bottle, bottle
essentially
glasses.
like Coke bottle glasses. As she more kind of turns to look at the four of you, kind of bats a bit of hair out of the way where you can even see the wax is stuck to her fingers, so it just literally almost pastes it back to her head. What can I do for you?
We were told that you had rooms available.
I have one room other than my own.
Oh no.
That'll do. Is it big enough for 4?
Big enough for 6 usually.
Can we book the room to ourselves? Unfortunately, we don't have any money.
That's no problem. I'm assuming
It's
one
good
of the
to be-
guilds sent you here.
Yes, that'd be right. The Southern Iron Dragons?
I know a few of them. I actually housed a few of them recently.
I'm a member of the Northern Iron Dragons.
No, I've not housed any of those guys. At least not recently.
Not recently?
No, probably 2 years back. They were here for some meeting with Sorrow. That's the last time I housed the North.
Any descriptions there?
An old guy who didn't like bees.
Any more description than an old guy? There's lots of old men in the Northern Iron Dragons. We're not exactly a youthful bunch.
Not really. My memory is not what it used to be.
Okay. No, worth a shot, never mind.
Worth a shot. I mean, you miss 100% of shots you don't take.
But no, I have the room. Most of the guild would send people here if they don't have coin. Easy lodgings. If you don't mind the buzzing.
We'll take it.
Well, I only have one key, so you kind of just have to, well, be here usually by 11. That's when I shut up shop.
Alright.
If not, you kind of get locked out.
Alright, we'll be back here for 11. What time is it now?
It's probably just after noon.
Right.
Plenty of time.
So we will be back for 11.
Wolfric, never do that again.
Can we assume your name is Honeydew?
Most people call me Honey. Mostly because they can't pronounce the real thing, but, you know.
Well, we won't offend ourselves trying, so nice to meet you, honey.
Could you point us to
Oh, the energy between Craig and Honey. Oh, already.
could you point us
Excuse me?
to the brewmaster?
So you'll probably want to go back out town to the brewery.
Right. Thank you.
So if you go out the western gates along the main road, you'll find a split off road that leads you up to the brewery.
Right,
He's
let's head to the brewery.
usually in there. Usually.
Right, let's deliver these crates, and then we'll go speak to the master of arms.
When we get out of Honeydew's shop, unless anyone else has anything they'd like to say to her,
Thank you, Honey.
Eidolon would just turn to the rest of the group and just say, I have a question. Why exactly did we go make a reservation at a free place if we're about to earn a lot of money from delivering these crates?
I mean,
I don't know. You're the ones who told him that you didn't have any money.
I mean,
You're the one who led us here.
but if we get the money for this delivery, we get to keep all of it instead of buying some lodgings. Plus, she seems quite nice.
I suppose the buzzing just might make it difficult to sleep.
You
It's
sleep
like-
shackled to a python in the woods. I really don't think buzzing is any worse.
You make a fair point. If that gives off the same menacing aura as bees do.
What do you...
I'm-
Bees?
Hi, my name's Eidolon, and I'm afraid of bees.
The menacing aura of bees as we're walking to the brewery. Do they not have bees
don't-
where you're from?
No, not particularly. I was to presume by the statement she gave out that they were something to be feared.
They're like this big, and they just make honey. And they'll sting you if you frighten them. But apart from that,
Eidolon is taking in this biology lesson on bees. Eidolon's learning today.
also if a bee stings you once and then it dies, and the sting doesn't necessarily kill you.
That's unfortunate.
It rips out its innards. It's the way the stinger works.
That seems like a highly... What's the word? I don't like-
Ineffective.
Yeah, that seems highly ineffective as a way to survive.
Well, there's lots of them, and I mean that's not their main defense mechanism. It's if there's lots of them, they've got another one.
Believe me, Eidolon, bees are not to be feared.
I've heard that like if a big predator goes to attack a beehive, all of the bees swarm over it and start shaking really fast, and they get really warm.
Go for it.
The
I
more
think
the
we
more
should-
you say, the more it seems like bees are something to be feared rather than the opposite.
Poor Eidolon, learning about bees and how scary they are.
He doesn't know.
Welcome to Twisted Baits. This time, bee fact.
Bee fact number 1: be scared.
Very scary.
Be
I-
afraid.
Oh, bee puns. As you guys head out of town and you kind of follow roughly Honey's directions, though it's not too difficult to see as it's not within the kind of western walls, it is set apart from the western walls. The kind of 3 iron cylinders cropping up beside quite a very large barn, very strong smells of alcohol coming from it, and you can even see some hop fields that are tilled, most likely for winter coming. There's nothing growing in them just now, freshly harvested, and some of the hop even being brought in for storage.
Pause briefly outside of the brewery. You know, I would have asked how Honeydew pronounces her full name, but you know, it's none of my beeswax, so and then I head inside.
You think you're so fucking clever.
Yes, I
Real
do.
jokester.
As you head into the brewery. The 3 of you following, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, I've got one of the crates, so I kind of have to.
The brewery looks very well funded. You can see that inside the barn it's been kitted out with brewing barrels, even some coals underneath some metal barrels for accelerating the process. Various different aromas hit your nose and it is very overpowering. Though there is all walks of life here, from young women to older men, and everything in between, working different parts of the brewery. You can't really point anyone out as the brewmaster, however. They all look
Is
very
there
similar.
is there a front desk?
Not really, no.
I would like to speak to the manager, please.
It's called
Excuse
the
me,
Carry.
we're from Human Resources. We're here to inquire about your workplace conditions.
They
If,
don't even have dental.
if we do walk in, I would just give a loud knock on the door, just to draw attention to the fact that we're all waiting at the entrance.
You know, for someone who doesn't like crowds, you really like drawing attention to yourself. Anyway,
Well, it's mainly so that you guys can do it, and I don't have to do anything.
right. We are looking for the brewmaster. We have a delivery for him. We're very visibly carrying crates.
He's most likely upstairs. As long as you don't touch anything, you're welcome to go up.
All right, we
Up we go.
as you kind of head up onto the second floor, where you can kind of see that a small office space does pretty much look out over the entire, I suppose, the entire brewery. Though it's not really done up like an office, it's, I suppose, more of a personal tavern where even some of the workers are kind of sitting drinking. It's quite clearly built to be an office space. You can even see that the desk that should be there has been pushed against the wall and has a small cask on it with a tap sticking from it for personal serving. A lot of the furniture and shelves have just been turned into essentially display shelves for different bottles and different casks. It's very much been a repurposed room, as clearly someone doesn't like spending their time behind a desk. You can see a more prominent gentleman, I suppose, coming into this room, serving several of his workers, kind of more pulling several pints, opening several bottles, discussing different vintages. You can kind of see that he is a more middle-aged man. He's kind of probably in his mid to late 30s, human, dark hair, kind of pulled back in a small ponytail, and wearing, I suppose, nothing really standoutish. He's wearing the same garb as everyone else. I guess the only thing that really sets him apart is more of his presence than anything else.
I will head up to the counter and say, "Excuse me, I take it you are the brewmaster. We have a delivery from Hillview."
It was from Tenon.
It was from Tenon, yes. Never mind, Tenon.
I've been waiting on this for quite some time. Though I know he's been having a bit of trouble getting stuff out the town.
That shouldn't be a problem anymore.
I'm assuming you have your letter of receipt.
Yep, I take it in my pack. Hand it over.
Well, Mark certainly knows when to fuck up.
Oh no.
Gentlemen, as this has happened a lot, more than I'd like to admit,
Yes.
you don't happen to know how much said I would pay you. Because he's not put it on your receipt.
He never said how much he'd pay us, yeah.
I think he did give us a price.
I think he did give us a price, but never wrote anything down.
You'd be surprised this happens with all of his deliveries. He's not the
Matthew,
most literate
please.
man in the world.
18 gold total.
He paid us 18 gold total. I'm not sure how much he promised that he said you'd give us.
Well, I can match it at least. At least for this shipment. It's a decent quality. I've been waiting on it for a while, and several of my buyers have been asking where these casks are. So I don't mind paying match, which would give you another 18 pieces, if that is applicable for yourselves, gentlemen.
Right, yeah. 18 between us, yes.
Mathematically, what does that work out to?
4.5 each.
4.5 each. It's 4 gold and 5 silver. Is that 5 silver? Or is that 50 silver?
5 silver.
5 silver.
5 silver, hell yeah.
Yeah, so we're like a 10.
I do thank you, though. I know the road, at least to Tannen at the moment, has been a little bit quiet, shall we say?
Yeah, well, we should be fixing that. Shouldn't we help sort some problems?
We had a little bit of work in Tenon and Hillview.
Most travellers find work wherever, though I don't particularly have any for you at the moment. Unless you know how to brew.
I can make tea.
That comes under my jurisdiction, but not that kind of brewing today, I'm afraid.
No sweetgrass blends you'd be interested in? Maybe.
Purchasing the recipe for?
Yeah.
On a different day, perhaps. No, we're currently preparing for the festival. So that takes precedence over much else at the moment.
Quite understandable.
But if there's nothing else, would you care for a drink, gentlemen? Or is there perhaps something else on your mind?
We've got to be getting to the barracks.
I do have one question for you, sir. I'm looking for a man, but I don't know which guild center he would be currently falling under the jurisdiction of. So I don't know if he's here or not, so it's worth asking.
If you're looking for a man, sorry to interrupt, but if you're heading to the barracks, then you'll be able to see it when you go in. It's the oldest building in town. Go into the old town, through either of the gates, doesn't matter which. You'll be able to see the House of the Dynast. It's mostly just a big fancy guild house. If you're,
Seems like a good place.
if you're looking for anyone, you'd be looking there. Any residents of the Citadel are noted in the registries there.
Fantastic. And does it perhaps have their date of registry or no?
That's not my expertise, but I'm sure one of the scholars or even the Master of Magic would be able to assist you.
I'll see when I get there then. Thank you.
Where are we off to next?
Markusar already saw the church. You said there was like a church when we walked into town, right?
Yep.
Okay, that answers his one question.
Yeah, the church is quite
Place where the
prominent.
false
when you're-
idols are.
as you head back out or you head out of the brewery, and I assume head back into the Citadel.
Yep, we have a destination. Well, Ewan needs to be making his way to the barracks, and I need to make my way to the guild house.
Splitting the party.
Well, wherever
we go.
Matthew and Paul need to go, that's where Matthew and Paul need to go.
So
Oh, we're splitting everyone up.
Unless you guys want to come with us, then we'll come with you, and you guys want to go wherever you want to go.
how do you guys want to do it?
I think maybe Markusar will go with Eidolon, if he'll be okay with me joining him.
I have no reason not to be. You're welcome to.
Where would Ran go?
I shall join Eidolon.
I'll tag along with Wolfric then, make it an even split.
Keep the split even.
Boy's
Perfectly balanced.
obsessed with making it
Should be.
even.
And then after this, we can head with Markusar to the church if that's where he's wanting to go.
Well, I mean, he hasn't made that aware to everyone yet, but
More just out of game if that's where you wanted to go.
yeah.
But no,
Um,
I am heading to the guild house.
As you kind of head into town, the gates of the old town are quite prominent and they're very easy to at least find when you come through the main gates. The barracks, the kind of barracks of the Master at Arms, is very obvious. It's built into the wall. You can even see the stable yard off to the side. And the Dynast house, the kind of main guild house building, is also very apparent when you walk into the old town. I guess the kind of thing that strikes you as a little bit strange here is, despite the separation of the walls, none of the Citadel appears to be divided in terms of wealth. Even as you walk into the old town, the barracks looks very old, looks very kind of run down, looks well kept, but it's kind of in parts as it's been built and added onto over the years. And the Dynast house, where apparently the ruler of Elorant stays, looks nothing more than a fancy tavern. That's kind of
That's where I've been told to go, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh boy.
That's kind of been added onto and again built up and repaired over the years. Everything here looks, I suppose, refurbished and reused in comparison to emphasising splendid wealth or grandeur. As we will jump with Ewan and Ranaagash as you guys head into the barracks first. The barracks is quite easy to navigate. It's quite an open plan. You can kind of see a lot of men are already training. And Sorrow himself is not too hard to find, as not hidden away or tucked away in an office, he himself is also training. Though upon seeing the two of you, he more relinquishes his weapon to a young squire and turns his attention to the two of you, kind of striding himself across the sands, across the field, to meet you.
You promised us information.
Well, I didn't promise, I said I could help, but same thing, yes. Would you prefer talking on the sands, or would you prefer stepping inside?
We can step inside, whichever you prefer.
Then we're stepping on the sands. Much
Right.
prefer being outside.
Naturally.
You're wanting information on your men, yes?
Yeah. We were split up by something and I want to know where everyone's gone.
Then I guess I, in a sense of irony, get to tell you to turn around and go back to where you came from. As he kind of
Oh,
chuckles.
fucking-
No, they came here looking for information like you did. I guess I couldn't really help them, so they decided that they were going to head home.
Which members?
A younger lad, not too dissimilar from yourself. Perhaps maybe a year or so younger.
Crapping. That'll be it.
He was quite a spunky lad. Not bad with a sword. Clumsy in his footing though.
Scar through his lip.
Aye.
Yeah.
He had a few with him,
Mm-hmm.
though nothing identifiable about them, at least in terms of their features. He actually had a few of the southern with him as well. For Westcross. I think he came here looking for answers. I couldn't give him any. He came here looking for men. Definitely couldn't give him any of those. Then he headed north. You'll have certainly missed him. It was perhaps a month or two ago.
And you are nowhere to go then.
Though I do have, I guess, a question of my own, shall we say, as he kind of smirks.
Yes.
Don't worry, it has nothing to do with why you're looking for them. I guess it's more of a personal plight. A little bit of revelry for myself. How long are you planning on staying in the Citadel?
A few days, maybe.
Then that leads me to my next question. Tomorrow, we are celebrating, shall we say. It is a tournament of sorts. There is a prize, if you're into that thing, but I need to put forward a champion.
Aye.
Let's just say none of my boys are really up for it, and I'd like to say I have an iron dragon under my wing. If you're staying in the Citadel and don't mind a little bit of, I suppose, attention, a little bit of an audience,
Not opposed to it.
would you mind representing the Master at Arms?
Would be my honour.
I can't imagine you'll have much trouble. The guilds rarely put forward any boys of fitting sport, shall we say. But a few of the, I guess, add-ons, the freelancers and travellers who want to try their hand are usually quite interesting. But I'd rather have, I guess, a bit more equal representation in comparison to choosing one of my own men.
Sounds good.
As he kind of more smirks, looks at Ranaagash. You kind of watch him look you up and down, Ranaagash. What about yourself? Much of a fighter?
Afraid not, no.
Well, I suppose. Sport is sport, but even you would be easy game.
I take offense if I hadn't heard that before.
Well, I imagine no matter where you go, say that. Most people here would probably think you're something to be feared, but if you say that, you grew up with orcs. I imagine quite a few of them thought they could pick their teeth with you.
And they probably could.
If they tried hard enough, I imagine, if they tried hard enough. But no, I guess I thank you for accepting my request.
No worries. I'll be happy to represent the Iron Dragons.
Wolfric Tournament Arc. Wolfric Tournament Arc.
Tournament art.
The games, well, the parade is tomorrow morning, though if you're in town, that's no issue. And, well, it only takes a day. Perhaps you'll even win. You'll get to meet the Dynast.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Izzy kind of gives you a nod, gives you a smirk. And we head to the Dynast house, to the guild house, where Eidolon and Markusar are heading in. To a relatively, I suppose, refurbished tavern building, more than anything else.
I was just told to head here because of the registry. I wasn't pointed towards anybody, was I? Cool.
As you kind of head into a very open entryway to, I suppose, quite a busy foyer, though no one really seems to be paying you much mind. They kind of more seem to be absorbed in themselves.
That's fine. I'll make my way through the corridor in that case.
I'll go with him.
You looking for anyone in particular, Craig?
Not exactly, waiting to see if I'm stopped or not, but primarily keeping a look on people's right hands to see if anybody has a specific sort of eye essentially tattooed into their right hand.
As you kind of wander through, you are not particularly stopped by anyone, though as you kind of, I suppose, look for someone in particular, you are bumped into by more of a hurried scribe. It looks like they were probably carrying something to somewhere. Looks like a lot of files and relatively important papers. A, I suppose, older man, though it doesn't quite fit his physique, more his appearance is a bit more older, or a bit older. As Markusar, you would see this too. The kind of man bumps into the two of you, bumps into Eidolon, drops the papers, more scatters them on the ground. Kind of more, you can hear him curse under his breath as the papers scatter across the floor. He looks up at the two of you, kind of more gives you a brief nod, then his eyes almost fix on Eidolon, as very quite visibly the man almost starts to begin to shake and sweat, before turning around, screaming and running away.
I turn to Markusar and just say, I found my guy.
It seems so.
As I'd run to keep up with him.
I follow.
As he kind of darts through the various different corridors, people kind of almost pasting themselves against the walls, trying to get out of his way, and then obviously the two of you are chasing after him. You do get a very odd collection of stairs as you are chasing after this man who is clearly employed here, and you are clearly strangers.
That's fine.
Before he darts out one of the more back doors and into more of the walled gardens.
I'm keeping up. I'm keeping pace.
I mean, yeah, you can. You are a monk. Before you are quite able to catch him as he more stumbles, trips, seeing if you're still chasing after him, and falls flat on his face.
Oh, I don't even need to.
Nope.
Essentially, I was going to say, if he was stopping for a second, I would essentially just slide in, kick him down. But
nope, he
no,
falls
he's
flat
fallen
on
over.
his face.
On his right hand, is there a visible tattoo?
There's parts of one. Almost as if it's been
tried to remove it. As I would take out my long sword and point it towards the man's throat.
Markusar, you would obviously
More lifting his
witness
head
this.
up. Lifting his head up to look at me.
Eidolon, are you sure this is appropriate?
What this man has done isn't appropriate. You've got a lot of questions to answer for, Elenis.
Is you kind of more, you'll obviously be able to hear him mutter, as well as you can even start to see a small crowd beginning to form Markusar at this scene. Is the man just muttering, nope, 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 you're not here. Nope, this is, nope, you're gone. You're a ghost. You're just another ghost. You're just another ghost. You're not here. You're dead. You're dead. You're dead. Nope, you're dead.
I'd let the man's head fall, take the long sword, put it back on his back. As I'd walk over to the man, almost kneel down on the ground.
Are you going to start making sense anytime soon?
Nope, you're not here. You're not real. You're just another ghost. I forgot to take another dose today. You're not real. You died. You died on the wall. I saw you die.
I'd slap the man.
I'm here, dipshit. And you have some explaining to do.
As he kind of more looks at you with, I guess, more frightened, widened eyes.
You do realize also, if you don't answer my questions now, I could just as easily take you to the guard, send you back there, and have you executed for insubordination.
I'm trying my best to settle down the crowd. You know, like, oh, it's okay, boys. Back to your work. Nothing to see here.
Give me a persuasion, Paul. See how well you settle the crowd.
Come on, Paul. Come on, Paul. Matthew,
Let's
could you
go.
important this? But oh wait, no, you're not there.
I can't. I'm not there.
He's not there.
16.
16.
That's not too bad. A few of the crowds do kind of more disperse, more not wanting to get involved in anything else, but no, a few of them stay back. A few of the, I suppose, more guardmen, the more soldiers, stick around because obviously they don't...
Yeah.
They see the more, I suppose, potential violence in the situation and don't particularly want that to escalate, so they kind of hang back a little bit. But I guess the more common
Fair.
folk pretty much shunt away. They don't really want to have be involved with this. As Craig the man kind of looks at you, Captain, I saw you die. You're dead.
Yes, move on from that. What happened after? Or do we need to take this somewhere more private?
He kind of more nervously shakes his head.
Stand up.
As Eidolon himself would stand up.
The man does so very carefully, very shakily, though does follow your command.
As Eidolon would more just stare expectantly.
I ran away. I didn't want to die.
Yes, myself and the bulwark pieced that together just fine.
No, after it happened.
Excuse me.
When they came, I hid. I see them everywhere now. We'd been trained. I'd never seen anything like that.
In that case, then, where did they go after?
They took the bodies and tossed them over the wall, one by one. I saw you.
Explains where I woke up, then.
There were so many of them. They left the ramparts. That's how I managed to get back to the wall.
Any clear sign of direction? Anything you heard? Where were they going?
They spoke of a mountain pass. Somewhere in the mountains. I watched the monster. He spoke like him. He didn't look like him. He knew.
I'm very well aware, Penir.
He knew of our paths. He knew where we tread. He knew the way through the mountains without going around the wall. They spoke of the pass. I waited for them to leave and I ran. I ran back to the palace, I ran to the bulwark, I told her of the ramparts and I couldn't get their faces out of my head.
So all you know is that after it was done, they headed to a mountain pass.
Yes.
Are you referring to the Barrier Mountains or somewhere in the Gildenfeld?
They're one and the same, no?
You misunderstand me.
I don't know. Captain, I've spent nearly a year trying to forget about that day. I've spent a year trying to chase away the shadows.
Then perhaps in the moment you should have tried harder. I'm going to take you to a guardsman, Elenis. I'm going to have you sent back, and I'm going to have you trialed for what you did.
Captain, please, I have a life here now. I'm away from that. I'm far away from that. No one believes me anyway.
I heard of your mad ravings in Tenon. Do you realize that that offense too is worthy of execution?
Then perhaps I'm just not as strong as you. I can't unsee what I have seen. It's racked my brain. I have seen alchemists, I have seen sorcerers, I have seen wizards, and I cannot get their faces out of my head.
How many people have you told of what you saw?
I don't recall.
You break our core tenets so willingly, and you expect to be forgiven.
Do you not understand?
I'd beckon to one of the guards watching over the situation.
He kinda comes over.
I'd give him a salute and see if he recognizes that first.
He more gives you a salute back. Problem, sir.
Does he look like he recognized it or nah?
Mhm.
Oh, good.
I need to speak with someone who either has some form of authority around here, or who can get me in contact with the wall.
For what purpose? It would depend on where I'm directing.
Transport of someone who has broken our laws.
Then you'll likely want to go to the barracks.
Then that is where I shall go.
You kind of see him more sigh as he looks down at the man, who is very much breaking at this point. Would you like us to bring him too?
If you wouldn't mind.
As he sets an arm on the man's shoulder and kind of gives you a nod, another man joins him as he more waits for you to lead.
As I'd start walking out, gesturing towards Markusar.
I follow.
As you head back through the halls.
God, I don't like doing this on my characters. I like playing at least somewhat well-moraled characters. This feels wrong.
As you head back
This
through the
man's
halls.
gonna die.
And you head back to the barracks, where Ran and Wolfric, you are just finishing your conversation with Sorrow. And Markusar and Eidolon turn the corner and enter onto the sands with two soldiers dressed in the Dynast armor.
This
and
would,
a
for the
man
first time,
following them.
this for the first time would very much look like Eidolon looks like a soldier. As standing at the front, he's essentially being flanked with two guards leading a man behind him.
What the hell is going on?
Slightly odd for you, Wolfric, considering he has been quite apt to respond to you before. He almost completely ignores you and walks up to the Orcish man before giving a salute towards him.
He salutes you back.
Captain of the Arms, sir.
An explanation, perhaps?
This man here has broken not one but two of the core tenets of the Watchmen of Aramba. By my jurisdiction, he is to be sent back immediately and face trial. If you'd like, I can sort out all the paperwork with you here or send a letter back to the Bulwark herself.
I would advise you send a letter, though notify me of your rank. What is your name?
Captain Daedalus. I led the first rampart.
He kind of gives you a nod, more straightens his posture and stands up. You see this man is very much... Like, he showed you some respect. You, in the moment Eidolon gives his title, gives his, I suppose, his position, his rank, his posture shifts. He sees Eidolon as being very much above him in this sense. As he kind of gives you a nod, gives you more of a gestured salute. We'll keep the man, make sure he's transported.
I'd give him a nod. And if possible, if I'm still here for it, I'd like to know the processes of the judicial I'd like to know the processes of the judicial hearing.
I will keep you updated on any information we have. If you want, I can send him by the wood rather than by the main road. It's quicker, and my men have travelled there many times.
And if you could provide a suggestion to the bulwark from me.
Yes.
I would suggest instead of execution, simply having his mouth sewn shut would do.
He kind of gives you a nod.
She'll know what the rest means.
As he more turns to his two men, gestures and throws his head almost back over his shoulders as the men lead this very now broken, very muttering, very stuttering, almost pleading with Eidolon. You see him attempt to grab Eidolon as he's almost being dragged at this point past and into the barracks.
Quite speechless.
I take it he was insubordinate?
Wulfric, you're part of a respectable mercenary band.
Yes.
Picture this. A member of your band takes arms and kills each and every one of you in the middle of the night. What do you do to a man like that?
You flay him like a dog and string him from a tree?
Then I trust you understand what I've done today.
Absolutely.
Have you learned everything you must?
Yes, I'm going to be participating in a fighting competition.
That will certainly be interesting to watch.
Uh,
Can I bet on you at the very least?
I don't know. You'll have to see if there's folk placing bets. I'm doing it on behalf of the Master of Arms. He's seen Hrafen.
That the man you're looking for?
Yes, he passed through about a month ago. Went back up north.
I do have a question for you, Wulfric, though it can wait for now.
Alright.
I'd repeat the salute to the captain, I've forgotten his name, is it Sorrow?
Sorrow.
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 I'd give another salute to Sorrow.
He kind of gives you a nod.
This was a year overdue.
Before turning around and leaving. Unless he says anything, of course.
No, he wouldn't. He would kind of bid the four of you farewell. A more, I suppose, cheery farewell to Wulfric in terms of his status for the tournament.
Is it becoming nighttime, I presume, or is it still like a bit of the afternoon?
You still have a little bit of the afternoon. It's getting into early evening.
Markusar, Ranaagash, anything you two would like to do?
If it is all fine with the rest of you, as you two have gone through a lot, it seems, would you accompany me to the church?
Of course.
My business is done, so I would have no troubles.
And while we're there, whatever you have to do, Eidolon, you can ask me that question if you want.
I was more going to ask if you could stay behind and let those two walk ahead.
Sure.
As Ran, Markusar, you kind of filter ahead as Eidolon and Wulfric. You guys are more tailing behind as you head to the church.
Wulfric, I mean not to pry in a tragic past, but I need to ask about the attack on the dragons from the dragon.
The dragon thing, whatever it was, yes.
Where did it attack?
Stonetooth Gorge.
Describe it for me. What does it look like?
Wide, well, it's a gorge, a wide, deep crevice in the rock. It's known as Stonetooth Gorge because it's got sharp stones that protrude it at the sides and at the bottom. It almost looks like a gaping maw.
You can give me a history
Alright.
check if you want, Craig.
I'll give it a shot. I'm more seeing, could this be described as a pass? And by the sounds of it, very much yes.
Yep.
I'll give a history. My history's not too bad. It's only +1, but why not? Could always be a nat 20. It's a non-nat 20, actually.
Og.
As you're not familiar with the gorge, you're not familiar with the name, though that's not unfamiliar as you yourself haven't really travelled outside of the Barrier Mountains. You've not really travelled outside of the ruins very far or beyond the wasteland that much. However, the description Ewan gives is something that you've never been to, but something that you've seen. As
Great.
from the valleys and passes of the Barrier Mountains, you can see something that is known as Baldur's Channel, which is a very, I suppose, treacherous portion of water that is known for having jagged coastline, broken cliffs, protruding rocks specifically, and definitely torrents of water that most ships don't survive if they ever attempt the crossing. Most to your benefit though, because it means people stay far from the wasteland. However, when the water starts to disappear and the ground becomes a bit more solid, there is gorges, there is valleys, and there is crevices very much like Wulfric describes in that area, separating the Barrier Mountains from the actual Gildenfeld itself.
By the channel, then, I presume.
Presumably.
Eidolon seems unsettled, I guess is the best way to put it.
Wulfric, who were you transporting that day? Any details, nothing too small.
A nobleman. Would I remember his name?
I'm gonna be honest, didn't give him a name.
Didn't give him a name.
No.
Yeah, give him a name right now.
You can wing it, Ewan.
Right, his name was Heinrich Vanderson.
Can you spell that? Just put it in the Discord.
I
Need to remember that.
Making NPCs on the fly, look at you.
Yeah, not a name Eidolon would be familiar with in that case.
He was a duke or like a viscount, not a very high-ranking noble, but he was a nobleman. He had enough sway to be able to afford the Iron Dragon's highest tier members to
You
be
don't sell
guarding
yourself
his,
short.
patrol.
Well,
I wasn't talking about myself.
where was he going? What was he doing?
Where would we have been going? What direction were we in?
So you probably would have been escorting him, most likely from Drakenel, or at least from the northern kind of region of Gildenfeld, through the mountains, and then probably to the small town known as Thansari.
We were heading to Thansai.
Damn it.
As Eidolon more just rubs his temples as he walks.
Is that a problem?
No, just too much lining up.
Do you know what that thing was?
What do you mean?
The creature that attacked the convoy.
Listen, I think I do, but I don't want to say anything on the risk I'm wrong.
I mean, it seems like you might be closer than whatever rampant speculation I've been coming up with.
Alright, I hate cryptic sentences, I hate sentimentality in sentences, but I can't say it any other way. By the sounds of it, myself, yourself, and Ranaagash, at the very least, will be traveling together for quite a long time.
Yes.
And during that, there will come a moment when I can explain, but now is not that time. I feel I have answers for the two of you, but by my own bonds, by my own oath, I cannot say.
I respect that.
I deeply apologize.
No worries. At least you gave me some information.
All I can say though, Wulfric, is that when the time comes, I will likely be there to help you.
It'll be good to have someone's back in that, or someone to have my back in that.
As he'd more just sigh and more wordlessly start walking at a pace to almost catch up with Markusar and Ranaagash, unless you say anything else.
Right, let's catch them up.
As you guys head to the church. Very beautiful stone building. Markusar, are you ready to burn some heretics?
No, I would like to enter the church.
So this church is set up in a very similar setting or a very similar stance in terms of its layout to that of the church that you went into in Tenon. kind of the pedestals of the different gods, the pedestals of the different divines laid upon surrounding the building. However, there's not statues taking centre place behind the altar. There just seems to be their small, I suppose, shrines in comparison to a more grandiose setup. However, something that strikes you as a little bit more familiar, I guess, is amongst the bannerets, amongst the sigils of the, I suppose, the more major gods of the new faith, there is also a banner flying a very familiar symbol to yourself. A golden orb that is wrapped with a wreath of golden leaves, which is something that you would see perhaps once, maybe twice a year whenever your sects got together, as being the banneret, being the flag, the sigil of the golden sun.
I see.
Why do I
Is
hear
there
golf
anyone-
music?
It's Druid Bowl, you know, where we all get together and fight. Is there anyone around? Like,
There seems to be priests. These ones are not garbed in the same garb. They all seem to be wearing either different colours or different types of garb. You do see a few locals. None of them really seem to be praying. A few of them seem to be, I guess, more travellers, inspecting shrines, more wandering around, just kind of almost amusing themselves with the beauty of the building. You do see a few druids kicking about as well.
okay.
Some of them wearing very ornate garbs that you're very familiar with, kind of the white and gold of the golden sun.
So the reason that Markusar thought to come here is that maybe like this is kind of like a hub for like all religions. So maybe there's like this would be like a place for like holy text or records of any kind. Can I see anything that might look like that, or like maybe someone who might know if there's some place like that,
You don't particularly
like a senior priest or something like that?
You don't particularly see any locations of that description, though there are some older, I suppose, members of the group, some older members of the, I suppose, priesthood that perhaps would be able to give you more apt directions. Ran, you kind of follow him in, obviously Markusar and Eidolon, you guys follow in shortly after and watch him kind of almost scan the crowds for something in particular.
I guess I would approach a member of the priesthood and ask them, Evening Father, by any chance, is there any sort of records kept here that I might be able to look at?
Other than prayer tomes, I'm afraid, my child, we don't have many records here. If you're looking for something in particular, I would probably suggest moving to the new town.
What might I find in the new town?
The Masters of Magic have their libraries there. They are open to the public, all records, nothing is secret here. You are welcome to, I suppose, view them and peruse them as you would, though if you're looking for something in specific, I would probably advise speaking to the Master himself. He knows that library better than anyone.
What might his name be?
His name is Varian. Varian Pendragon.
I thank you, Father. I won't bother you any further.
Nothing is a bother, my child.
I'll leave the old gentleman, and I suppose while I'm here, I would go speak to the other druids.
So you kind of watch as Markusar speaks to this old man, getting kind of information about the Masters of Magic, and he goes towards a collection of... They are quite clearly druids, they are definitely not a priesthood, but they're not like Markusar. These guys are a lot more well decorated, they are a lot, I suppose, wealthier looking. Their garbs are not tattered or torn or full of patches and holes. They seem to be, I guess, the closest thing you'd expect to a druidic clergy. As Markusar kind of heads over, they kind of catch sight of him, and you kind of watch as several of them begin to, I suppose, off in a corner, more talk in hushed tones and mutterings, quite clearly directed at Markusar, but more trying to keep their voices down as one more, I suppose, comes to the forefront to speak to him. Can we help you at all?
Good evening, child. Are you here for the festival?
Well, most of us are, though some of us remain here.
Haven't seen many of your type in a long while. How is the golden sun?
We are well. The word of she grows every day,
Of course.
and the city progresses as it should, and the people thrive as they do. Though your sect wouldn't care much for that.
Now, there's no need for hostilities, especially in a place of worship like this.
Forgive, I guess, experienced tongue. I morally just expect you to do something.
Your opinions of myself and the Green Hand matter not to us, as your words matter not to us. Our following is strong, and we do not seek people such as yourselves.
So how is Father Avelios then?
He is unfortunately passed, and has made me Father of the Green Hand.
Well, I would hope that perhaps you would see some enlightenment, but if you're anything like he was, I would imagine not.
Tread carefully. I would not have you speak ill of Father Avelios.
You will find you are no longer in the forest of Helden. Most people here do not speak lightly or kindly of him.
Well, regardless, it has been nice meeting with you. If you'll excuse me, I shall be praying, and perhaps I might see you in the market squares.
Dragonborn,
Yes,
I do offer my condolences.
she thanks you.
As would the three of you do anything in the church, whilst Markusar is obviously talking to these druids?
Nope. Just stand kinda awkwardly.
I don't know what the fuck is a religion. I don't know what the fuck this place is for. This place looks kind of useless to me.
Say a quiet prayer to whatever god I used to worship. Like, I used to go to Sunday church back in Holmesall. Maybe
What
like
god
an
would that
agriculture
be?
god?
Yeah, see, I'm thinking you'd probably be more familiar with like Yemis and Kenvar. So like the god of beasts in the known and then the god of the earth. But I feel like when you became part of the Iron Dragons, you probably became a lot more familiar with Valka, the god of war.
I'd say Yemis probably most likely though, because Yemis is like a nice baseline, like just the earth.
Yeah.
Like Yemis is a
Yeah,
chill.
They're all. I guess that they're all right, but you know, they're not the she, are they?
Prayer to Yemis and a prayer to Valka, and then if Markusar comes back over, it's like, right, are we ready to get going?
Well, Markusar, after speaking to the druids, he'd sort of go to, despite it being beneath the golden sun, he would have a prayer there, as it is. They are part of the same religion.
They are, yes.
Before rejoining you guys at the doors.
A connection to the
Ready to
she is a
get one?
connection to the she.
Exactly. We have our differences, but we're all on the same team.
Shall
I didn't get that vibe.
Shall we head back to Honeydew?
Is there anything you need to do, Ranaagash, before we retire for the night?
No, I have no pressing matters.
He's just vibing.
Just street vibing, my man.
Is it a bit later now, or we?
It is getting into
I wouldn't have time to probably go to the
later
library.
evening, yes. So you probably have to retire for the evening, and you could do it early morning tomorrow.
I suppose we shall head back to Honeydew's, though I do have errands to run tomorrow.
Well, it certainly seems like we have things to do in the Citadel tomorrow, considering Wolfric is now participating in a tournament.
Yep. I'm gonna kick the shit out of someone for sport.
Please do.
As you head back to Honeydew's, retire for the evening, and we will end our session there for tonight
Yay!
Hella.
with a little bit of character exploration, starting to get underway with your stories. Mystery.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what the worst thing that Wolfric's feeling right now is? He's like, I went all this fucking way. I went home.
Man, I'm feeling that. Man, I'm feeling that.
It's like
I
I came all
passed
this way
through
to
where I
look
need
for
to
you.
go.
Oh well.
You and it looks like we both need to go north.
We're heading north.
Looks like north is our destination.
Beyond the wall. Oh,
Beyond the wall.
It's all coming together. Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
yeah, like learning Eidolon, about all his fucked up shit. That was interesting.
We got a little bit of Eidolon, we got a little bit of Ran today. Got a little bit of Wolfric on the side. Still don't know a lot about Markusar, but
I think we're about to get some Markusar by the look of it.
And we don't have Wolfric anymore.
Wolfric's
Yeah.
back!
That's all we learn from him when he disappears.
Wolfric's
You
back.
learn a bit about me, but there's still
there's still a bit of air around.
cards close to
Markusar.
the chest.
I can't play around with as much
Wait, where's
of
my pack of
Markusar at
cards?
the moment.
We'll get there.
But we'll get there. We'll get there.
I mean, to be fair, you shouldn't have been able to play around with Eidolon as much as you did. It's just Matthew rolled awkwardly. Fuck you, Matthew. Jesus Christ. Don't roll like that.
Blame RNGesus, okay?
RNGesus.
I hope you guys had a bit more fun having a bit more of like an RP like story focused session in comparison to like dungeon
Yeah.
combat.
Honestly, I much prefer these to combat sessions. These are a lot more fun.
And I hope everyone actually watching
I mean, there's gonna be
actually, like enjoyed learning a bit about your characters.
Yeah.
It's fine. We return to regular combat next session where Wolfric's gonna fuck some guys up.
Yeah.
And we get to chant at the sidelines.
As
Yes.
we have the celebration of the Six, the tournament in the Citadel, which will be occurring where Ewan, as Wolfric, will be representing the Master of Arms. So that's going to be interesting.
Do you have something for us, three idiots, to do?
I definitely have something for you three idiots to do, so don't worry your head about that, Craig.
We got
Let's
something
go.
to do, guys.
Oh no.
We don't have our tank, so if we need to fight anything, we're vastly fucked.
I feel now compelled to shout, "Are you not entertained?"
Do it! Do it!
Not today.
But we will see you all next time for the tournament arc and more. Say goodbye, my boys.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, my boys.
Thank you. Thank you for listening,
Bye.
watching.